Good evening, everyone. There we go. I already see you guys busy in the chat. I am so excited. I cannot believe I finally got this fabulous YouTuber as my guest. And funny enough, no, he did not suggest a crypto, a money, an investment topic. I convinced him to take it a step further. And tonight, we are going to take on the challenge of answering the question, how to keep a wife. Now, if we was Tasha K. Winos, I would say y'all need to go ahead and pour a glass of wine. If we was over on TLA, I would say, yo, we really need to, get our courtroom attire ready, because this is the type of conversation that is going to spark some debate. I have a married man of 4 years who, like I said, has a YouTube channel where he talks a lot of money, but he was willing to pull up a seat, come on the SuzetteSpeaks show, and share his wisdom, share his knowledge as to how he keeps his beloved other half, some people would say better half, happy in marriage. Now, we're not going to purport to speak for every man, but I wanted to bring on a male's perspective. And y'all hear my voice. I'm suffering from a little bit of a congestion tonight, so bear with me, y'all. I'll be sipping my tea. Y'all pull up. Hit the like button as you come in. But as I was saying, this is a type of conversation that I think is going to be a little bit provocative, some truth, and maybe some hard pills to swallow for some of us. But to all my speakers, I see you already in the super chats. Thank you so much for showing some love. Let me at least say hello to a couple people. The Intentional Millionaire, thank you for doing a fabulous show with me. He came through on last night talking about 20 ways to make additional income. Come on, y'all. Thank you, Intentional Millionaire, Tim for short, for coming through and blessing us with your knowledge again on money. Yesterday on that fabulous show called Get Your Money Up. Y'all go back and watch it. But right now he's showing love tonight on the super chat. Thank you so very much for being here and for supporting my content by both your presence and your generosity. Appreciate you. I see you, Uncle Stu, already. I have to acknowledge my gentleman in the chat, because I know there's going to be some married men and some want to be married men taking the show in tonight. So we're going to give you one man's perspective. We're going to keep it 100. We are going to ask you what you think, because of course my speakers, one thing about my wonderful community here on YouTube, they love to speak their mind. And one of them is Mr. Uncle Stu, old man on the block himself, right now showing love. Thank you, Sam. Matching the marriage fund for the SuzetteSpeaks Nation, matching the Intentional Millionaire. Thank you, Uncle Stu. Salute to the panel and the chat. Thank you, Uncle Stu, for being so generous, always bringing his seasoned knowledge to the channel. But we will drop the link. But we must first understand that marriage, guys, first and foremost, in my opinion, marriage is a ministry and a calling. Everybody ain't gonna be married just because of the sheer numbers, I think, not because of you did something wrong. But I think, it takes a special kind of connection in the Western culture as we think of marriage as love marriages, for us to find a person that is ready for who we are, and we are also ready for who they are. But marriage is also a service to the other person. I think sometimes we forget that. That's one thing I mean when I say ministry. It is you being a servant to your husband. It is your husband being a servant. Y'all get them likes up. Y'all want to be servants to one another? Help one another grow, cover one another's flaws, protect one another's hurts. But is it your job as a husband to keep your wife happy in marriage? I hope your job as a husband is to keep your wife married to you. But how? The question becomes, how does one keep their wife married? Y'all trying to keep y'all wives married? Or y'all trying to get married? Come on and hit the like button as you come in. Again, tonight's topic, I hope you will join. I will drop the link, guys. I hope not to do most of the speaking because my voice is like going. But just by way of the survey that I did on my channel, very informal, for the speakers, earlier today, I dropped the survey in my community tab. And in my community tab, I asked how people thought they should keep their wives happy. And I gave 5 different selections by gifts, gift giving. And I also put on there, show strong masculine leadership as head of household. I added, pay most of the household finances and asking her to pay less. I added, always say sweet, kind things to her and give her compliments. And my last category of possible ways of keeping a wife happy is keep her satisfied in the bedroom. And it was 51 folks voted, not sure, male, women. This is unscientific, y'all. But 65%, 65% of y'all said, show strong masculine leadership as the head of household. The second closest was 24% on my page that said, pay most of the household finances, asking her to contribute less. And then it was 2% said gift giving, 6% says always give her nice compliments, and 4% said the bedroom is where the satisfaction lies. So I want to ask this young man, why he chose to get married, because I think there's so much controversy. We don't see and hear from happily married people as much as we hear from people who are in distress, quite frankly, right? In things where it's very complex, very complicated, and sometimes painful. So we got someone here, married, young marriage, 4 years, and I'm so excited to get his perspective, because I think that's different from someone who married 20 years ago. This is a nowadays, this is a modern day marriage. And I want to pick his brain and ask him for his specific marriage, right? Everybody's different. People got different arrangements. Hey, y'all seen some of these arrangements going on? But for the most part, I think there's something that we can learn from hearing from a man and what he does in terms of his philosophy to maintain order, peace, happiness. I saw some of y'all write on my Instagram, it ain't my job to keep you happy. Some of you had the opinion that a woman keeps herself happy, and then you support her in whatever brings her happiness. I was like, oh, okay. That's what we doing. Y'all hit the like button as you come in. Little hot tea for the voice tonight, but super excited nonetheless. Hoping you guys are excited as much as I am. If you want more one-on-one exclusive content, y'all know my Patreon is open. We're going live probably next week as well. So I try to make sure to bring insightful personal development, uplifting topics in a small group setting on my Patreon. And if you want to support my content, please go over there and become a member today. But we got some work to do, y'all. Y'all said you liked marriage, dating, and relationship topics. But I wonder if we're really ready for this one. Are y'all ready for the truth, or y'all gonna make it up as you go along? Because I do believe men and women look at this question differently. And I'm excited to have a younger marriage, a person who's been in a marriage, newly married, I should say, be able to give us his perspective on what it will take to keep a woman happy, to keep a wife happy. Some of y'all are so funny. Listen, Azriel's talking about this codependent up here. Y'all so funny. Good evening, Ebony. Hey, Simon. Nice to see you. Yes, I have to run that episode back. Go back and watch The Intentional Millionaire. 20 ways, 20 possible side hustles, moonlights of making additional income. It was very thorough, very, very creative. Thank you, The Intentional Millionaire. Yes, y'all about to be heated. Y'all don't. I can't even. I can't. I'm gonna let y'all co-host tonight because my throat is like giving me the worst challenge today. But I got the Vicks on. I don't know if you can see it. I smell like Vicks right now. But we in here. We do it for the love. Appreciate y'all. Yes, Mona D, nice to see you. Says yes, marriage is definitely a ministry or a service. I hear you. Some of us not gonna be that dedicated. Like how y'all can't even show up to y'all job. Y'all gonna show up every day. You gotta show up to your husband every day. Oh my gosh, with love and with gratitude. And he for you. My goodness, are y'all ready for that? I don't know, Perry. I want to know how you knew you was ready. Perry unlikely getting ready to come on stage. Y'all hit the like button so I can bring him up, please. Harrison Family Values. I'll see you on Thursday. Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about our dating standards and if our dating standards are keeping us single. Harrison Family Values. You might need to come up and give us a sneak peek tonight. I know. He said, "You already know my position, sis. You're one of the people I was talking about on my Instagram. Hey, Andre. Nice to see you. Hey, Queen Abby. Good to have you. Nice to have you over here on the Suzette Speaks channel. But yes, the last good man in Jersey says, be a leader with a real plan. Show her she helps you both achieve it. Show her she helps you both achieve it and stay focused. I like it already. Y'all call that simping, though. Y'all call that simping. Excuse me. I think being a leader with a real plan is amazing. Leadership, for sure. Queen Abby says leadership is first, followed by the rest. So you say all of the above? Yeah, we got some work to do tonight. There's so I see Ebony. You say Will told Jada it wasn't his job to make her happy. Hence the entanglement. Ay. I'm gonna take my time. But again, I wanted to know what's going on in a man's mind and what is his ideal role in pleasing his wife and keeping her. Y'all ready? Hit the like button. Without further ado, I want to bring up for the very first time on the Suzette Speaks show. I'm so excited to have him. Thank you for saying yes. Please help me welcome special guest YouTuber, Perry Unlikely. I can't even scream.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
How are you? Good to have you, Perry.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you for considering me. And
Of
it's fun just to
course.
talk about, I like to talk about crypto, obviously, but I just like to talk about relationships and other stuff as well. So I'm definitely excited to dig into it tonight.
I'm excited to have you. Like I said, we might bring you back on the crypto. Crypto
Oh
going
yeah,
crazy right now.
anytime.
For crypto, people got so nervous. It's been a kind of tumultuous time, but not to digress.
It
I'm
has.
grateful to have special guest Perry Unlikely. Perry, I'm gonna drink my tea. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please, to the
Have,
folks, sir.
have at it. So Perry Unlikely, name's actual Chris. But they go by Perry Unlikely, certainly on YouTube. So my channel, I just basically started out talking about actually real estate slightly. I do have a real estate license, but quickly as I started talking about crypto, it kind of just took off. So that is the content people like to see. So for the most part, that's what I, focus on, but also just in getting into the community of YouTube and spending some time. I like to pop up in different conversations about, relationships, the modern women, a lot of Kevin Samuels topics. Of course, I'm married, but a lot of his topics did resonate with me just, from the past. So I just like to be engaged in different conversations like that and really solution oriented. So that's what's most important to me is even though I am married and, a lot of these conversations about those who want to get married, I still like to be engaged in that conversation because it's all about solutions.
I love it. Um, Perry, you're brave. First of all, start with that. Because yes, I've seen you on these YouTube streets. I've seen you over on TLA. I've seen you
Yes,
on, BTB and other places. And shout out to all of those content creators, who support other content creators. It's wonderful to have
yes.
you on. But this particular subject matter, I'm curious to pick a man who chose a wife and who is happily married. You would describe yourself happily married?
Yeah, absolutely. I would.
Happily married as like a case study. And again, he says he's an open book. Y'all don't get all the way in his business, but he's an open book tonight. And he's just going to speak for himself. So everyone is different. People are unique. And we know, your circumstances may be, quite different from other people who are watching. But I think it's always something that we can learn, or as they say, glean from one another.
Absolutely.
Perry, the first question, I was going to get to the question now. Perry's been married. How long, Perry?
It's coming up on 4 years next month. So
4 years. So you guys could still be considered newlyweds.
Yes, absolutely.
They are excited for you. They're like, my boy, Cow Hill King.
Khalil, that's my boy. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So you brought your folks with you.
Yeah, I brought some folks with me. Sure did.
I love it. So first and foremost, give us a synopsis of how everybody here. That's a wonderful accent. First and foremost.
Yes.
So absolutely. I think a lot of times, who chooses to get married happens when we're young. Like a lot of times how we've gotten, conditioned by parents, by family structures, etc. So just give us a quick synopsis of how you grew up.
So I grew up actually in a single parent home. My grandmother was there as well, though. So, and she had a big influence on me. But one thing about that is, though my father wasn't there and he was in the picture later on, as far as just, from a distance, and we developed a relationship, my mother always raised us pretty much to go out into the world. So we were raised as men, even from, men in my church and things like that. So I always, and even though my father wasn't around, never one negative word about, about my father came out of my mother's mouth. So we were just always raised to, go out in the world and kind of conquer. That's just the way it was. And we were always treated like, with responsibility. So always kind of just raised, to be a man.
Now, I'm going to stop you, Perry. Excuse me for interrupting. I'm sorry. I had to put some Vicks on. Okay. I had to get a nose back up. Y'all pray for me. You're right. But there is some people share the sentiment that when single women raised by mommy and grandma,
right,
lots of love, I'm sure, in that home,
absolutely,
raise a boy, that there is a lack, that there is sometimes, what should I say, incomplete teaching of masculinity. Do you feel that was your case?
No, I don't. A big reason for that is I did have, men in my church that I could look at, but I actually think that it's not. I don't want to say it's not the mother, because things have changed. We're really not. It is a modern era, but I actually tend to think it's the absentee of the father is probably playing as big of a part on that, if not more. And the reason I say that is, for me, I didn't know it at the time, but as I aged, I went and got therapy to learn about little pieces I didn't see until I got therapy that were missing. And I don't believe that men are doing that. So I think there's a brokenness in that, and it's easy to point the finger, but if you don't heal yourself first, it's hard to put it, because even if it is the women, well, when you become an adult, you got to clean that up. So, and any type of household you come from, right? You can have parents that argue all the time. There's going to be some sort of damage from that, likely. Yes. So it all points back to the same place, though it could be in different variations. You're still going to have to go get some therapy or some help yourself. So I can't sit here and say that some women probably don't raise their children soft. I've definitely seen that. Like, I've definitely seen children being all up into their mom all the time.
That wasn't you. You like,
No,
so y'all got whoopings.
They were like, get out of here. Go outside.
Where is your accent from, Perry? I know people are curious.
Yeah, so I'm from Southwest Virginia, and right on the Tennessee state line. So we kind of call it a non-accent accent. It's very I mean, you can definitely hear the pronunciation, but if I'm in Alabama, they say it's city, but pretty much if I'm in any city, they're like, man, that's country.
I love it. So
right. Southwest Virginia. So, and
Virginia.
And I'm in Georgia now. I'm in Atlanta. So really it's honestly about 4.5 hours from where I live.
From where you are.
Yeah, it's not that far at all. It's just over the Tennessee state line.
That's a deep sentiment. Thank you for clarifying where you're from, because I know everybody's so curious when your accent is there. But I think what you're saying, many people, it will just give them good food for thought, because a lot of time people blame moms. And I think it's great that your perspective is like, I think it wasn't the present, it was who wasn't there.
Right.
And that can have more of an indelible impact. So that's interesting perspective. That's a whole show by itself, and the
Yes.
therapy that you got to heal that.
Yeah,
Shout
it
out to you,
is.
brother. Shout
Ab-
out to you.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times marriages are where these latent issues, hidden issues show
Right.
up. So if
Absolutely.
you haven't dealt with them, if you haven't addressed them, oftentimes it can show up with how you deal with your wife. I don't know. Are you watching any of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff?
Yeah, I have. I've been trying to catch some of that, and
Man, I don't mean to judge. I might have to do a whole show,
it's deep.
because I'm like,
It's
ouch.
deep.
This is like, I don't think obviously everything on either side is 100% the truth. Everybody's trying to get their money, right?
Right. Absolutely.
However, I do believe if any of that is true in terms of like the level of dysfunction and really emotional abuse
Right.
and toxicity, people got to get away from this.
Right.
People can't live like this. That's not marriage.
Right.
And to think that, again, not saying everything that was said is true. All of it is alleged. Nobody has proven anything, and the case is still ongoing as of this show. But
Yes.
it's so interesting to see what people live with and think of as normal.
Yeah, and that's what the biggest takeaway for me is when I see, she made a reference, and I think I saw it today that's just part of it, and I was like, nah, that's
Part
not.
of what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's not part of anything that
I'm
I.
not gonna come home and deal with none of that.
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
it hurt my feelings. And again, both of them, their testimonies were harrowing on both sides.
Right.
But I
Absolutely.
thought if anybody thought this was marriage,
Right.
bruh,
Yeah.
like you needed the counseling. I mean, there's so much there. And like I said, I probably need to go and do a whole show on it, because I've kind
Yeah.
of stayed away from that. But it
Absolutely.
hurt me so much to think neither of these people had been healed before they stepped together. And
Right.
like I think they brought out the worst in each other, which is so awful. And
Right.
insecurity and jealousy and all that comes from the pain of the past. So anyway, thank
Right.
you, Perry Unlikely, for
No.
sharing that.
Ab-
Before you got married, you went through counseling. How long, may I ask?
um. Still today,
You still go to therapy?
not as frequent, but
But
yeah.
you ain't got to qualify, but I'm just
Yeah, not as because I think I used to maybe go every 2 weeks or something. I probably still go maybe every 5 to 6 weeks, and really that's because what has been really unique is uh, because I kind of began with the end in mind when I started going, and that's when I can go in and talk to someone and they've seen me, come out of a previous relationship, right, and then begin to really the whole process of healing and really getting to a place where it was, because by the time I got married, it was, this is what I'm going to accept. And
yeah.
I will not accept anything less, or I'll just be single forever. That's where, and so for her to get to see that and me go through that has been, because you can look back on it and we have those discussions. And then, you've also got someone who doesn't always agree. Right. But is like, but can see how far I've come. So it's been, yeah,
That's wonderful.
it's been
So again,
good.
even when you in the marriage, y'all, this
Right.
is a helpful tool.
Yeah.
When you're in high stressful jobs, when you're making transitions in life, when you have a loss, it's a great time to seek out therapy to guide you. So let me ask you, Perry, did you always know you wanted to be married?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I always have. One thing about me, and my friends know this very well. I just never have. I've never considered myself like a ladies' man or anything like that. While I always loved ladies, and the biggest reason for that is, for some reason, so my mother's real strong, and as I aged and realized the sacrifice she made, and I always like to make this clear. I see young mothers now, single mothers, they talk about, I sacrifice, I feed my kids. And it's like, well, I mean, what's the alternative?
That's the
Right?
beginning, right? That's the beginning.
So for me, especially, really it hit home when my mother had me at 34. So when I got around 34,
Yeah.
and you're kind of, even prior to being married, just the lifestyle you're living, being able to look back and say, hold up, my mother had me and my brother, who's 13 months older than me. And then I have a sister, he's 18 months older. And then I have a sister who's actually 13 years older. So being able to, look at that and just really look from a view where it's like, hey, we're the same age. But one thing is, my mother's not married to this day, but I'd never seen her with, there was never men coming in and out. I've never seen my mother with a man like that. So now, knowing that I was that age, does that mean it didn't happen? No, it doesn't mean
just
that.
made sure you didn't know. That's what's up.
Right, and that is sacrifice. Making sure that your children are making sure you know what they're consuming, what they see, those types of things. So just being able to look at it that way, I just always, even as a kid, was like, I want to live in a way that honors my mother regardless.
So I love it. Perry's like a old soul-ish.
Yeah, I kind
of two women.
Yeah, I kind of
still, still had a very strong sense of manhood
right.
by way of other male mentors, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
And so the question becomes, and I think I saw Ace Butterfly ask it. You say you weren't really always a ladies' man. Were you dating always with the purpose of being married, or were you dating for fun and hanging out early on in your 20s?
No, it was always with the purpose of marriage. But so you could have asked me, could I got married at 19, and I would have said yes.
Oh, wow.
But looking back, there's no way in hell. I don't know any way to say that. And the reason I say that now is because what I did have to learn was, and it was part of that growth, was just because you're having a bad day or you're upset, that don't have nothing to do with me. So a lot of people take on that. So back then I couldn't always understand that. I thought it was me and things like that. But as I grew, I just realized, hey, if my wife is having a bad day, she's simply having a bad day. Now, if I'm the cause of that, she'll tell me.
If you're not the cause, though, don't take it up.
Calls, I don't take it.
I tell people all the time,
but I don't take it.
If I was married young, I would have been divorced, because I'm just now mature enough to understand what it will take to keep yourself as well as your partner happy. So we're getting into this wonderful topic, how to keep a wife, with the 4-year married Mr. Perry Unlikely. Y'all check out his channel. He talks crypto, but tonight he's venturing out into a manosphere topic. Relationship with his wife, how he selected her, and I want to get into that. So you're saying you weren't playing in these streets? Were you tempted to play in these streets? Are you? So what does that mean? Does that mean you were dating and then you were one of those guys that stayed in like long 1 year or more committed relationships and was with one person, or what does that mean?
Yeah, so I was typically in longer relationships, and that's whether it's a 2-year relationship, then a year here, a year there, and then 4 years. So I've always been in longer,
like steady with one person.
Longer relationships. So typically I've always been in, I've always pretty much been in a situation where it's like, I'm usually pursuing someone to more so date them. That's just how I, in general, have done. When I was in college, and I was in college for 3 years, so I was in and out relatively quick. I kind of dated around then, not so much. I knew I wasn't going to be there that long. So, but still there. I've just always been mindful about what I do. Right. So, and some people I think will relate to this. I've even had situations where, a female I was maybe friends with, and she wanted more, but I didn't see. Obviously, we always know there's something you can get out of it.
Barry was friend zoning them, y'all. Talk the truth, well, Barry.
The thing about
Barry
it is,
in the friend zone.
The thing about it is, I've just, for some reason, I've always been careful about that, because certainly if I'm in a space with you on a normal basis, I'm just not trying to be sloppy. There's nothing that's good that's going to come from that, right? So because of that, I was always just very protective over that, because I just want to keep my name.
Never, I'm going to assume, advantage, because a lot of men, and shout out to Igwe's daughter, sorry to interrupt your flow, says There's still such a stigma in the Black community with therapy. More men and women need to complete therapy, especially those of you out here dating again, post divorce. Absolutely. I think at every stage
Right.
it's so crucial because the oh my God, I gotta tell a story about that. Listen, I'm about to do a series, Perry. They're not even ready for. At the end of this month, we're gonna do a series. And I gotta leave it like that because I'm so hype about it.
Absolutely.
But I've been on dates when a man is on the date and all he telling me about is his recent divorce. And I even had to stop in the middle of the date. The man keeps saying he want to take me out again. I said, sir, you still in the marriage, sir. You need therapy, sir.
Yeah, and let that
And
go.
with no disrespect of his humanity or that I was better or anything, I had just been in a more whole place and
Right.
he was in a broken place.
Right.
You can't date like that.
No, you can't.
You giving me the whole story and everything she got. Sir, I came here to drink my wine and listen to the live band, sir.
Yep.
You want a therapy session with me? That's not my role.
Right.
But it can hurt so much that you just got to get it out. And it's the worst thing to go out in the dating market and still be holding all this baggage. But I'm going to don't worry, the series is coming, y'all. But shout out to Igwe's daughter and the love on the super chat. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Yes, we all need therapy.
I will.
And more. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I will tell you this. Even my friends have always said, even just in conversations, because look, if I think you're wrong, I'm going to tell you, right? So, but even my friends have been like, man, you're just different. Even my brother, I'm like, nah, I'm not. But part of that is, and almost any girl that I've ever dated would tell you, they won't say I'm a bad guy because, a lot of it was it just didn't work out. But it wasn't ever any cheating or it never was anything like that.
You just knew that wasn't a person for you.
Yeah. And it's just for me, for some reason, a lot of it's just how I deal with even friends. It's always been so attached. My biggest fear is that my integrity would come under a contact or under
scrutiny. Yeah.
Scrutiny. So because of that, I've just always been very, very careful about, how I move just because of that. There's consequences.
No, you like me. Reputation matters and integrity matters.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to compromising that or that seemingly to be bruh.
Right.
I'd rather not mess with you. I'd rather you can stay over there.
And
I'll do me and we'll be fine. So I get your dating patterns. I get your mindset. Were you very religious growing up? It sounded like you were.
Yeah, I was raised in Baptist. I was raised. I'm a Christian. And
so raised back. Okay, so this aligns, and I hear you. You because I'm very similar mindset.
That definitely played a big part in just wanting to be married. Something also for me with marriage was just not having my father around. That's my camera.
Hold on, Perry Unlikely then came out the screen. What happened, Perry?
I got you. Not having my my father around. It was always important to me. I always wanted to have boys. So, obviously that's a part of legacy and things of that nature. So I just have always, I've always kept that in mind. So
how I think your camera's on a timer. I think that happened to you on another show too.
Yes, it did. I've been still trying to figure out how.
That's all right. In the meantime, I'll read some chat. You good? Maggie, the substitute teacher's in the building. I was watching her, making her. What was you making, Maggie? I can't remember what the last thing I saw you make. Shout out to Maggie. Oh, kale chips. I was asking her ways to make kale taste better, and she made some fantastic kale chips. Maggie cooks. Her substitute is substituting the bad for the good.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. She says, hello to my two favorite accents. I love it. A says, yeah, Perry's selective. This is the type of person you need in your corner. Hello. Yeah, I think, yes, he's a choosy lover, says to Chef. I love it. But I want to understand your mindset because every man the Miss Creative. So we having a conversation, Perry Unlikely. Yes, he was friend zoning them, Ace. But he's given us his truth. So it's good to just know his patterns because every man is different. And I'm telling you, this is a rare man nowadays. You have men with integrity though. You have men who want, a marriage. Right. So you sound like you always knew at some point you wanted to be married.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how did you know your wife was the one?
Well, this is crazy. We actually met on this is really crazy.
Don't say Tinder.
No, but let me tell you how we met. So I gotten out of a relationship and now we met on Match.com actually. So what's
No way.
Yeah, and what's crazy about this, my thought process. Now, I remember coming home from work one day and I sat down. Now, I've seen Match.com commercials who knows how many times, right? But that day, I want to say there was like some special or something, and I swear it was like, I don't know, it was like $25 a month for 3 months or something. And I just saw the commercial, and just something that day said, you know what? Give it a shot. And my thought process was like, look, if you pay $25, right, maybe that'll weed out some skeezers, because if they're willing to pay something,
Not the skeezers.
yeah. Well, and I'm thinking if they're willing to pay something, then although I've heard no, that's since then I've heard that's not the case. They will pay just to try to hook up. So just that some ratchet people will be on there paying, but that was my thought process. And the crazy thing is, I got on there, and I want to say, if I remember correctly, it was 9 days. My wife now, she popped up on there, and we just started chatting, and a couple weeks later went on a date. And I mean, it was at that date, I literally called my mom. I called my mom, my friend, and my sister on the way home. And I said, look, if she's not crazy, because I don't know if you're crazy after one date, but if she's not, I said, I'll marry her. Because
oh my gosh.
I knew, but there are indicators as well that there's indicators that led me to that. And that's one thing. The workup to that was, we quickly, after several more dates, we just got right down to it. What's your goals? Where are you at? Finances, credit, everything on the table. And it was, hey, we were both like, you could take it or leave it. So it was very much, we weren't going to alter who we were to try to, there was none of that. It was 100%. This is, you ask me any question you got, I'll ask you. Everything's laid on the table. Are we going to move forward together or not? And then we got engaged 7 months later. And
my goodness.
Yeah. And then
what's your age difference with your wife?
2 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So y'all just aligned. You made the step. You had to do some work. You made the step going on Match.
Right.
Trying to, he said, weed out the skeezers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
With the 25.
Right. Yeah.
And then happening to meet somebody. Now, was she your type, physically speaking?
Yeah. I mean, everything about her. I mean, everything about her. I was attracted to her. Very smart, intellectual. So yeah, it was really just the perfect fit. I mean,
wow. Yeah, you're lucky, because there's so many weirdos out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It is perfect. Wow. And also, just to show you, like, my mindset is like I said, literally 9 days on Match. Once we start texting, I never got on Match.com again. I never bid back on there again. That's just delete it. That's just how I am. I'm always I'm very intentional. So, we move forward, and the rest has pretty much been history, but we've made every decision along the way. We're very strategic about everything we do together as well.
It sounds like, yeah, you're the type that when you make up your mind, and I always ask, my goodness, if, do men marry the next person they meet just when they're ready? But it still sounds like you can be ready, but the person still obviously has to be in alignment. Because sometimes I feel like you could be just the last girl standing. If he's just in his mind today, yo, I need a wife, and you happen to be the girlfriend, you can get lucky. That was my opinion, but I don't know if that's true.
No, and I'm very, I think deep about it. Like, I ask myself, like, because some of the other people I dated, when I start thinking about long term, how would it have been? Some of them fit the mold, some of them didn't. So here's my thing. Mm-hmm. If I'm invited to the White House, can you go with me? If I can't take you, then we can't be together. It's just that simple. I think about those things because at the end of the day, we've all got that cousin who we can't take to a place with us. So if you're going to marry someone, you got to be able to, I got to be able to come to your awards banquets. You got to be able to come to mine. We got to be able to, move together. So those are things that I always think about.
I love it. They say you got to go to the Jay-Z concert or the White House. Well, let's go. Either way.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Well, folks are loving what you're saying. Dr. Thunder, good to see you, says. BTB, what's up? I see you in the chat. Says, married my wife 6 months after we met. bruh.
Yes. Yep.
So I think, again, some of y'all with these no judgment longer engagements.
Let me touch on that.
Go ahead. I was going. Let me take my face off the screen so y'all can
All right.
go
So
ahead, sir.
now, they say when you know. I do believe that. I think there's some exception. I do think some people grow on each other. But these 5 years, 10 years, it's bull. It's straight bull. There's no way you're with someone that long and you can't make a decision. Now, if you decide as a couple that it's not that important to you, that's fine. But the idea that, on the 7th year, he'll all of a sudden decide. The only thing I can see where that could possibly apply is, when you are, let's say you meet when you're 21.
Mm-hmm.
No, do I think you need to get engaged in 7 months? No, not necessarily. But when we get in our 30s and stuff, and we're talking about, I know people even in their 40s that have, they've been with someone for 15 years and they want to be married, but they're not. And it's like, at some point, I just think you have to.
I don't understand that. It confuses me.
I don't.
Now, again, everybody's hearts, everybody's situations unique, but I still don't. I personally, I just can't say I don't understand.
Right.
Enjoying the topic tonight. Hit the like button, y'all. Come on in. Doing work tonight with Perry Unlikely. Usually talking crypto, money, real estate, investing, that kind of stuff. Tonight, talking about his journey as a married man and what he's now doing. So I just want to, let's get into it now. Andrew says, get Perry a Ray and Nephew rum. 120 proof. Do you know what Ray and Nephew? It is a Jamaican white rum.
No, I actually have not. I actually have not had it, and I'm a big fan of rum.
That thing will clear up my whole nostril right now.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I just splashed it on me. I might bathe in it actually right after.
Yeah.
I always keep some Ray and Nephew. It's what Jamaican rum punch is made with.
Okay. Love rum.
Yeah, I don't know about Perry. We're gonna have to send him a Ray and Nephew. It burns your throat, and men drink it on ice. So it's like that. So yeah, 120 proof. He says, you are a real dude, 2 peas in a pot. I admire the way you embrace the blessing. Suzette, we all need to take notes. Thank you for your generosity. Andrew is starting a channel. Oh, nice. I'm so excited for him. He's always up. He's always supportive of my content. I'm so thankful for you. And he was giving us the tea yesterday at the end of Intentional Millionaire show that he was also getting ready to launch. I'm like, go do it. This is the time.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Grateful for you, Andrew. Thank you for your generosity. So Perry, let's get to it.
Let's do it.
When you first got married. Now, okay, did y'all cohabitate before y'all get into before you got married?
Nope. So that's
Perry, you're old school. I love it.
So here's another thing. Now, this is where it's a little different for me, right? So my wife and I didn't have sex before we got married.
Perry.
So
Perry, hold on, for the name and the love of Jesus on Nazareth. Oh, Perry Unlikely.
But
Perry, hold on, pause. Give a wave offering out there. Hallelujah. Perry, you didn't have any relations with your wife at all?
No, none.
But what?
So
wait, you say you courted for 7 months?
Yeah. So here's the deal, though. My wife was saving herself for marriage.
Oh, so she was a virgin. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
okay.
But here's the thing. That's why when I hear a lot of these conversations, that's another part of it for me. I'm looking for something that's a lifetime. Right. So, and it's almost like if you compared yourself to an animal, there's certain ones that just go out and get anything, and certain ones wait until the time is.
Perry, you got that discipline about you, though, Perry.
These
people out here, these church people out here having more relations to the people in the world.
Right.
And it's not a judgment of you per se. I'm just shocked because when I hear certain church people talk, I'm like, wow. So we're just gonna let sex fly. It's not one of those rules that we follow. Like it's a very thing. Like it depends on your church. It depends where you live. Depends on your level of commitment. But to hear that type of discipline is like wowzers.
Well, and see, the thing is that discipline just didn't come as I got older. I literally I've had girls that I've dated for roughly a year, and they said they were waiting until they got married. Now, it didn't work out for us as far as we didn't get married, but we didn't do anything. But the reason why, right, is for me anyway. First of all, it's the word says that, right? So that's how I should be trying to live anyway. But
Amen.
But aside from that, it's if a female comes to me and says she's saving herself for marriage, I just don't feel like I'm the one who should try to take that unless I'm want to take on that responsibility of marriage. I've just always
honor about you, bro. They say Perry is a unicorn. Clone yourself, my youth.
And I've just, it just hasn't come down. It just hadn't, because there's got to be honor in things like that. Certainly when a woman says she's trying to save herself,
right?
I don't want to be the one to take your virginity and then I'm just going to move on, because what course am I starting for you? Then you're like, well, I've already done it. What kind of path is each? I just always think about the path for anybody I come in contact with. So that's something for us. Now here's what happened is, so before we moved in together, so my wife had the house we currently live in. I think I only had a rental property at the time. And I only had a rental property at the time and was in an apartment. And we made the decision, because I was looking to get a house, and it obviously made sense for me not to get a house because we were getting married. So I actually, when my lease was up, I did move. I moved in the house, but I slept downstairs. We didn't even sleep in the same bed. We wanted to keep everything legit, and that's what I did. Until, matter of fact, whenever we got married, I think it was my mother-in-law that started helping move my stuff. So when I came home, they had moved my stuff for me right up into our then, master bedroom. But that's also a sign, right? And this is not judging anyone, but I do think people should think about, and that's on both sides. So as men, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I'm not hating, to each their own, but as men, when we say, you hear this a lot, you don't give it up on the first date, then, then I'm not going to date you or whatever. We're not going to kick it. See, the issue I have with that is what quality of woman am I getting then? And so that kind of, for me, is it's, you don't want women to be for the streets, yet you make them for the streets. Now, for me, I just never have really agreed. That's not something I agree with. And like I say, I'm not a hater. I don't care what anyone else does. I'm very mathematical, right? So it just comes down to a simple process. You got to give it up. Yet I don't want women who are giving it up. So
you creating 304s, not you, but people creating 304s, and then they mad when they get a 304 that break their heart. Right. I'm like, you're part of the cycle, though. You created the savage. You created the woman who is now like living my best life because I love the man, or women doing it to men. You created him. You creating the savage that you used. Right. And now he's out here using up the rest of the. I've seen it. I've dated it. Right. When folks are damaged hearted because someone really killed their spirit or didn't equally esteem them. And we are in this kind of like loop, unfortunately.
And it's that same discipline, though, right?
Yeah.
On her behalf and mine, that becomes a good mixture. That's the thing, is that discipline is what I think sets you up for the long haul.
Perry, you got the old classic values. I love it. They say, would Perry recommend that, though, for couples that hadn't been saving themselves? So what if your wife was not a virgin?
So I actually still recommend it. And the reason why I do is, so the biggest issue, and by the way, let me explain also, because this is the crazy part. Now, this is, I remember it like yesterday. Before I met her, a friend called me. And he's like, yo, and this was after I'd had a previous breakup. And he's like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm just in the closet, just praying, drinking a beer. And he's like, you drinking a beer and praying? I'm like, yeah, I'm not drunk. I'm just sipping a beer. And I said, this is crazy. I said, God told me he's going to send me someone. But he's told me, now this is nuts, but he said, I want you to do things the right way. And the funny thing I told him was, man, this is going to be, what I'm being asked to do here, I don't even think it's possible anymore. And my friend was like, nah, man, if he's asked you for it, the right person is going to come around. And I just couldn't believe it. So it's funny how even me going into that with her, I was already trying to figure out how I was going to honor what I had just come out the closet and heard, right? I just finished praying over.
Yeah.
And then I find her, and it's just the right. So everything just really came
Yeah,
together.
right person, right time, right alignment.
I would recommend it, and here's why.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, right, we got to know each other.
Yeah.
I didn't marry my wife because of lust. I didn't marry. It was. I loved her for her personality, who she truly was, and we built a bond that you just don't build when you just step out to the club and kick it with someone, and then you fall into lust, and it's confusing over why you're really together. And see, the thing is too, that passion can start to hold you together through stuff that you're not prepared. It ain't going to keep you together for 30 years. It might keep you together for a year or two. So that's why I think even if when you come together, you got that anticipation.
Yeah.
I think there is something that that it does help you with, and that discipline, right? Because you also hear that, well, if I don't get it from you, I'll get it from somewhere. That's a lack of discipline to me.
Exactly.
Especially when you're talking about we're talking about being with someone forever.
Yeah.
I love it. What's a small frame?
Salute to Sincere. Great words, Perry. And I'm grateful that you're sharing that, because we don't hear that side here a lot. Most people are talking about how to smash. Most people are talking about how to get as many women as you possibly can. So to hear that, I think it's Nathan Daly that always says dick discipline is super important for men to make these type of decisions. The forever in your life, forever decision can't be one based on lust, as you're pointing out. So let's get into how you making this lady happy.
Yes.
In your decision making in your marriage, how do you guys handle major decisions for your family?
So we consult on everything. I mean, we talk through everything, right? So a lot of times you'll hear there's this war over, is it a partnership? Is it not a partnership? So it is a partnership of some sort. I mean, we're getting hung up on words. It is, does your right arm have a partnership with your left arm? Yeah, anytime you lift the box, it does. So for us though, but in terms of there is a business aspect. And to that business aspect is, I am the head of the household. And so you look at it this way, and don't get caught up on the numbers. It doesn't matter if you want to say 51, 49, however it is. But when it is that, you still talk to those stakeholders, if you will. But at the end of the day, the 51% majority head of household will make that final decision. But I also understand it's not in my best interest to just come making decisions that aren't going to benefit the family as a whole, because that's not going to be long lasting. The same way you can't do that. I worked in corporate America for years. Anytime you continue, we see what happens to companies that make decisions and they get no feedback from their employees. It just doesn't work. So I do believe that there's a partnership aspect. But so, for example, I'm not going to come home and say, hey, honey, we're moving to California. That's just not going to work. And any man who thinks that's going to work, those decisions will catch you at some point in time. Me, hey, I've been thinking about California. It's been put on my heart for whatever reason. Let's discuss what that looks like. And because there's other people. I have 2 children as well. So we have to think about, that aspect as well, and what's best for everyone. So that's the way that definitely the way that I look at that, is just to say it's not a partnership at all. I don't agree with that, but it can't be 50-50. Even I literally have a partner, right? And I put the money in, he makes the business decisions on that particular property. So at the end of the day, I put the money in, but he does have the right to make that decision. Now that's 50-50, but there's an assigned role, and we have assigned roles. My wife and I do have assigned things that we handle as.
Let's talk about that, because I wonder, does she ever have like a veto? Something that you have said and it's like, I ain't gonna go because you're my hubby, but that it's something that she does not necessarily find, it doesn't sit well with her. Do you ever have those discussions?
Yeah, we have. I'm trying to think. It's hard to really actually think of a specific, but what I do in that case, I have extremely close friends that I bounce things off of. Because I always got to make sure too, especially as a leader, am I in the right place?
Right.
Because that's the thing is, when we think about the design of marriage, that's the funny thing is, I'm ruler of my house, I do as I please. But if you're not submitting to someone,
right,
that's not, so we all have to be governed some way. That's why we have laws. There has to be
so
some
you look at it as man submits to God, God submits to man. What am I saying?
Right,
Man
right,
submits to God,
right.
woman submits to man,
and
and
children.
then children submit to women. Okay, so that's
Right.
what you subscribe to.
Right. Absolutely. So with that being said, I'm, if my wife disagrees or something, yeah, I'm obviously going to analyze it. But I also know because of how she is, that if she doesn't think it's a good idea, I also know it's something that I need to be, that probably needs to be questioned, because I trust my wife as well to, to be that second set of, the set of ears for me to give me an indication of, hey, should I be moving this direction or not? So
wonderful. So you do look at yourself as, okay, if there is a hesitation, there must be a reason, or there's this kind of, vibe of like, oh, I don't think we should be doing this. You kind of,
yeah.
I don't want to say swayed, but open still to looking deeper and thinking, what am I doing that might not be the best in our interest?
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you
this, because I grew up, because of how I grew up as well. For me, I would, regardless of whether it's my wife or a friend, if I was tripping, right? Like I would rather someone say, look, man, you tripping. I don't want some pushover. That's not what we, iron sharpens iron. So that's always been important to me anyway. But when I do get vision from God or get some direction to go in, I do want my wife still, let's just use that California example. If I feel like God's leading me to move to California, I do want to do my best to make sure that, to make sure my wife understands why this is important, not just as, hey, we're out of here. That's just not going to be beneficial for everyone. And even my children, right? Just because I love them, right? They have no say, but I want to explain to them, hey, you're leaving your friends because of this.
Right.
So it's just important. The final decision.
So, you might have made the decision, but you're not bringing them along as a leader should. As a leader should.
Right. Exactly.
So Uncle Stu has an inside joke with you. I don't know what this means. Home run Perry.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Uncle Stu we're talking about. Yeah, we're always talking about, and that's somebody I bounce stuff off of, all the time. Just
wonderful. Yeah, he's awesome. So what about this buying of gifts? Do you buy your wife lots of gifts or regularly?
This is crazy. My wife is not her love language is just not, it's just not that. It's not really gifts. Now I do.
You got to do that. What is her love language?
Yeah, I definitely get her things. Words of affirmation for sure.
Okay.
And quality time. Those are her biggest. So I'm usually the gift
recipient.
Yeah, like I'm a LeBron James fan. She got tickets. I mean, they were darn near courtside to go see LeBron play. Just
wonderful.
Jordans that I couldn't get when I was a child because I either couldn't afford them or just couldn't get my hands on them. She'll find some way to find out about that, and it's a lot of stuff. I may not necessarily even wear it, but it's just something that is special to me. So I, just keep them on the box on the shelf. But just nice little things like that she does.
You are the gift. Is it acts of service even? It's not even gift.
It's actually more so acts of service because, and I think it's just from where I'm from. I mean, I have relatively humble beginnings. I'm relatively simple. I'm not that fancy anyway. I keep it real simple. I bought the same car three times in a row, 3 or 4 now. So just a couple years newer. So I'm just simplistic like that. So because of that, it's not like I need all kinds of fancy stuff, but really, acts of service and just, she thinks about me, and then just, and I like quality time. I like quality time as well.
So what do you think you do that makes her the most happy?
So what I know makes her the most happy, and I have to, I'll elaborate on that. What is dates? Like she likes dates. That's more important probably than anything to her, is just nice dates. Pretty much those things that we did when we were dating. Right. And that's the biggest challenge is, once you have children and trying to balance that out, of course, a full-time job, you know, uh, and I'm into everything. You know how much content
Yeah.
creation can take.
Take out of you. Hello, since this.
Yes. So just trying to make sure to keep things first. So that's actually why, for me, that's somewhere where I've fallen short. Like I haven't, and as all these other things have crept in, but to keep first things first, I literally got a virtual assistant for my own personal.
Good for you. No, I plan. If
To,
my life mirrors this, I think every mom who works full time should have a virtual assistant.
absolutely, it makes all the difference.
I was talking to this lady and she's president of the Links and she's president of that. I told her, I'm like, you need a VA.
Right.
Just to schedule your husband's doctor's appointments, your kid's dentist. You're that busy,
right,
that you almost need an assistant to help you run your household. Absolutely. I told her that.
Yeah.
So you do that.
Absolutely. So stuff like that. So that's the other piece is there's ebbs and flows, right? So I have to remind myself all the time, like, hey man, you gotta pick it up. Like, so I found out my in-laws are, and this is a lot of people. I love my in-laws. We get along great. Them and my mom get along great. So for me, I found out my in-laws are moving here. So now I'm gonna have someone that can watch the kids. Oh, don't even.
Praise be to God. Y'all gonna have more date nights. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Half the battle is like trustworthy childcare.
Right.
So once you can get trustworthy childcare in place, you guys gonna be freed up a lot. But it's hard to trust people. Like, yeah. So that's what's up. So finding time how many kids y'all have? Two
boys.
Boy and girl?
Yeah, 2 boys.
What ages?
2.5 and 1. One just turned 1. So yeah.
They in that early stage.
Yeah, they in that early stage.
And that's a handful.
It is. It's a lot. And I can tell you, even with them, we were very particular about, how many kids we wanted. And literally when we wanted to have them, two pretty much right down to the time. Like, okay.
Yeah, back to back. Get them out. Yeah.
Our second one, and then boom, we hope we have another boy, and let's move on. Because people always like, oh, I know y'all want to have a girl. And we're 37 years old. Ain't nobody nothing. Even if we wanted one, we wouldn't even take that chance to have
give me a good healthy baby. Let's do it. Like whatever.
Right. So absolutely. So and that's made that, to me, I mean, and certainly there's people that have been married longer than me. The biggest challenge, in my opinion, is when you have children.
Yes, it changes everything.
Yeah, it's a dynamic that really changes a lot. And trying to figure out how to balance that out. Yeah, it just takes time. And my wife works full time like I do.
Wow.
So, but that's where I'm extremely blessed. My wife works full time. She still cooks. I mean, I try to cook. My mom's a chef too. So I try to cook. So I could always cook, and I've always liked to cook.
Okay.
I cook like once a week in general.
Listen,
it's worked out.
It's okay. His camera is on a timer. He don't know how to fix it.
Yeah,
Ace Butterfly. I'm gonna read a few comments while you come back up. Ace Butterfly says, after your recent stream, Suzette, go back and watch Get Your Money Up, how to make additional income. We gave you 20 ways to make additional income. Ace says, after your recent stream, as SuzetteSpeaks, I'm looking into virtual assistant income. Shout out to you, Ace. I'm glad. Good evening, Learn Biz, the podcast. If you missed my show, I was over on Learn Biz at 6:00 Eastern tonight. I did an interview with them, about 45 minutes. It was fantastic about my entrepreneurial journey, coming from event planning, from law to event planning to television to YouTube. So if some of y'all are more curious about my path, go check them out. Go subscribe. They just hit, congratulations, ladies, 100 subscribers. We want to get them to 1,000. So their podcast is all about interviewing entrepreneurs, predominantly entrepreneurs of color, Black entrepreneurs, and learning hopefully from their journey. So thank you, ladies of Learn Biz, the podcast, for having me earlier tonight. Shout out Talk with Tori. I see you. TTOO, I see you. I'm going to drop the link. Y'all, we only had 65. I want to get 100 likes at least, because I believe this gentleman is doing so much work in talking about his story, because again, we have several narratives, but sometimes certain narratives are the only ones that are pushed. So there are men like Perry Unlikely, right? And then you can choose, similar strategies that he's just even talked about. So when it comes to how you date, when it comes to dating with a purpose, when it comes to choosing a wife, he said when he saw her, he just knew. I love that. When it comes to running your household, it's very interesting. You say you only cook once a week. Does she cook every day?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's up. So she gets home in time to with two little ones.
Yeah. And
Cook
so,
every day.
so that's something, right, that I've had to improve upon. All right. So because I realize, right, because she works as pretty much as long as I do, that, not everyone gets that, right? So because of that, I've really had to make a conscious effort. And that's where also the the VA helped me, the virtual assistant. And in starting to, because I was trying to edit videos, I'm trying to hold my little one while I edit a video.
It's too much.
Too much. So
Perry, we will have heart attack. We can't do everything. So I'm about to ask someone to come on board, help me with thumbnails and other things now.
Absolutely.
It's too much.
It
I
is.
realized this is why I'm sick. I was burning the candle, waking up at 6:30, talking about I'm working out and not going to bed at 12:30, talking about I'm making thumbnails. It don't work like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I lock that time out. So that way, while she cooks, I can take the kids and just, now they want to run back in there to their mom. So it's like
you try to take them, but they're like, goodbye.
Right.
Mommy's here.
Yeah. So, but I have gotten to a point where I really do, I try, and that's something I consciously have to remember. Hey, your wife cooks every day, and then of course, sometimes we just will grab something to eat. For the most part though, she cooks every day.
Y'all don't order out not 1 or 2 days a week?
Yeah, we usually will, maybe once a week, but for the most part, she, and then of course, we have it kind of scheduled out. So I know typically Tuesday is when I cook. Right. So,
so you have your day.
Yeah, typically Tuesdays when I cook. And then of course, if I need to cook more, I will. But we're just very good. We do try to plan things out just to make it, to make it easier. So that's why also, as far as, there's a lot of talks about the traditional woman. I think the biggest thing about that is just know what you're getting. Like I also knew up front that we were going to have a traditional marriage. She knew that as well. But this idea that you can jam someone who doesn't come from that and that's not what they are into it.
Yeah, it ain't gonna work.
It's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work.
So she grew up seeing her mom cook every day.
Right.
She wanted to cook every day before y'all got married.
Right. Yeah. So she just, I mean, it's just something that came together, and it's always been that way. And now getting in these YouTube streets, I didn't take it for granted because I know how much time I always cooked for myself when it was just me. But seeing it now and seeing like in these YouTube streets how much of a war there is, I'm like, yo, I got it good. So
you better not complain. That's what I think a lot of people don't realize. Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
So when you have at least some decent foundational, what should I say, value system alignment, you got to work with that.
And by the way,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna drop the link, y'all, and I'm gonna hear.
By the way, I wash dishes 99% of the time.
Yeah, he washes dishes. Okay.
And because my wife cooks, right? So the thing is if my wife was a stay-at-home, mother, well, she would probably do all that, but she works as hard as I do. So it makes sense. So I usually straighten the kitchen up and do the dishes and it's just always been, and I did dishes when I grew up. So I've always done them. It don't bother me at all. So there's definitely.
How we gonna? You got brothers? What's up? You say you got 2 brothers.
My brother just got married last year. My older brother just got married.
Barry said he got some good home training, but because he realizes there has to be a balance. And again, we are not supermen or superwomen, right. Especially when you work full time. You got side hustles, all kinds of stuff, and 2 small kids under 3. Yes, this is wild. Yes, that is a lot of effort.
You bring some people. I do want to point out something that's real important because I think it's important for men. Well, men know, but I don't know that women understand. So now some people call this, and I told you before we got on here, some people say it's simping. It isn't simping because this is who I am. I just am who I am. I'm married. There's no one to simp for.
But what they call simping though? I don't
Well, first of
understand. Like
all, it
what?
seems nowadays if you treat a woman, if you love your woman and you express that, and you basically don't run her into the ground, you're simping, which is just trash. I just don't agree with that. But I think what's important for people to understand, even in my journey, right, before the therapy, before those things, trying to live and do things the right way, it's important women understand that is not rewarding for men. There's no reward for that. And I think most men that, women would consider a good guy, they would probably say there's not any rewards for that. There's not. And though I ended up, meeting my wife and it worked out well, for the most part, there never was any, you try to live your life that way. Right. And there were still feelings at some point, like as I was younger, that it just wasn't good enough. There was a lot of times.
Hold on, Barry, I'm lost. So you're saying there's no reward for it. Repeat that?
So there's, at the time as you're growing up, even if you choose to do things the right way,
Yeah.
I think it's important that women understand that there's no rewards coming their way for that. So it still is
being a good man.
There's a rough road. And that's where I fully understand, although I didn't go through it like that, I fully understand where the red pill rage is coming from.
Okay.
Because
I'm seeing where you're making it.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is now some men, I'm just talking about specifically the ones that are trying to do the right thing. You're still left where, women want this type of guy. They want someone more flashy. They want this and that. And that's something that a man has to grow through. And that can be a hard process.
Yeah.
So even with that, I had to grow through some of that. But it was through that therapy where it was like, I was able to define, like, this is who I am. And regardless, I'm not going to change. And then the stars kind of aligned. But I just thought it was important. And I'm sure there's men in the chat that fully understand where I'm coming from. It's just not easy. It's just not always easy, even when you're trying to do the right thing.
Well, I'm encouraged, Perry. You've given me hope, sir. Because y'all, we got to go get a country boy. No, I'm just playing, but I like what is going on. The value system that you have is a wonderful one. It's I don't know if it's unique, but we don't hear it often.
I think that's it. You just don't hear it often. But I think I definitely believe it's out there. I just don't think it gets highlighted enough.
People don't highlight it. Uncle Stu in the back. I'm gonna have him come up. Uncle Stu always bring the fire. How are you, Uncle Stu?
First of all, let me give my brother a clap.
What's up, man?
Sir? Awesome interview. I just want to put some light on certain things. So since y'all going from the biblical perspective, you initially started with the question of appeasing or loving the wife. That's not the Bible.
Tell me what the Bible says, Uncle.
The Bible says, love your wife as you love Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Love her as Jesus loved the church. Right. So the first love and only love is a man needs to love his God, because he was created whole. He was created without a woman. He was created to already manifest the things that God had created. Book of Genesis. It wasn't until he fulfilled all that God wanted him to fulfill that he says, you know what? I need you to now go to sleep. The Hebrew, the understanding of the Hebrew is, he said, put him to sleep, or he was now in full worship. And once he became in full worship, it says he took the rib out of the man and created him a woman. But it was the key words that Adam said. He says, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Because now he saw somebody he could relate to, he could communicate with, he could educate with. But here is the problem, and this is what Perry was trying to articulate. Many women are not the bone and flesh of the man that they want, because there has to be a systematic equality that takes place. And what I mean by equality, it means, do you have something that matches the vision that the man was originally given from the beginning from his God? Not from his pastor, not from his church, but from his personal relationship with God. So if a man doesn't have a relationship with his creator, then he doesn't really have a relationship with himself. So everybody is missing, because the first thing, and how did Adam fall? He fell when he tried to do what? Appease a woman. When he appeased her, and then what happened? Because he didn't listen to his God, he listened to the voice of the woman. That's when sin was able to come into the world, and that's when the fall of man took place. What was the first thing Adam said? He said, it was the woman whom thou gave me. And what was the fault of that man? He listened to the woman who told him to go against his God. When you go to the book of Job, what was the first thing the woman said? Curse God and die. He said, thy foolish woman, do you want me to curse God and die? You sound like one of them other women. So I come to tell men today, stop talking to foolish women who really don't know their God, don't know the word, ain't never studied the word, don't understand the word. Get into the word so that you can show yourself approved on the God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, to rightly divide the word of truth. Mm-hmm. Then you will find the woman that can be bone of your bone, flesh of your flesh. But too many of us is still playing around with the animals in the garden. We need to leave the animals alone and go find a real woman to be one of your own.
I wish I had my sound machine. I would throw you a horn or two, Uncle Stu.
Absolutely.
I hear you. I feel you, because what did stand out to me is Perry has a relationship with God, a spiritual relationship.
That's right.
So he gonna have a whole different perspective than a person who is trying to find a wife who does not have that direct contact with God. And I think, again, for me as a woman, that, and again, there can be deceivers, but if that is truly established, there's nothing more attractive. A real understanding of self from a perspective of being loved as God's son, given, what they said, greater to do than God through his power. But most people, I don't know if we're pushing it out of the public square. Not saying most. A lot of people are pushing out faith from dating, and it's kind of like, but no, it needs to kind of be discussed. And they talk about past offering play, Uncle Stu. I just wanted to read this. Sandy B. Law says, it seems like many at this time are soured towards relationship, at least the loud ones. I don't know if it's everybody, Sandy B. And the idea of marriage based on their past negative experiences. I'll also say that's true. And not even their own. Oftentimes what they hear from others, people taint the well. And sometimes these people don't even be in bad relationships, but they happen to their homegirl or somebody they met wherever at work, and they're like soured based on what they're seeing on YouTube or wherever.
Well, that is because I speak with the experience of a minister, of a pastor, and of one that understands the body of Christ. First of all, you got too many poverty pimp preachers that will not preach the truth of the word, because too many of them is already wanting women broken. See, if I can keep a woman broken, I can keep her in her pocket. So I'm going to only tell women what they want to hear so that I can continually get the money that they want to supply me. So it is called having a seducing spirit. And we have too many pastors that have a seducing spirit. So the reason your women can't get whole is because you're following a man that isn't whole. He learned how to play the pimp, and now he plays the pimp in the pulpit. But when you find a man that goes after God and submits to God, he don't want to talk to the woman. He's going to be like Jesus and talk to the men. So I say to women, you show me another religion that was built on the backs of women and not built on the backs of men. If you listen to Judaism, it was built on the backs of men. Original Christianity was built on the backs of men. Islam was built on the backs of men. We are the only place that got a Christian foundation built off the backs of women. It is time that real men who are going to be in the pulpit, whether it's the pulpit of the church, pulpit of this platform, no matter where that pulpit is, if the man that you are calling the man of God in your church don't have a foundation where he got men following him, you better run. Because I'm here to tell you that I am a man of God. Most of my platform is men, because a man recognizes the truth of a man. And if a man cannot see the leadership and what needs to be insightful in that man, that is not the man of God. God. That is not the man that's going to understand how to run a house, how to run a church, and how to run a family. And until you find a man that loves God with all of his heart, mind, soul, and strength, he'll be able to minister to other men, build men, and not try to replace the man, but he'll be able to say to the man, get up and walk and sin no more, and that man will become the true man of God of your house. He won't be telling you to come to church 6 and 7 times a week instead of being at home with your husband. The first church is your husband, not a building created by a man. I'm here to tell you what the word says. I don't care what your so-called pastor, and if he got a problem with it, my YouTube channel is Uncle Stu.
Uncle Stu want to smoke again. But Uncle Stu, you got so much truth in what you're saying. I only slow you down so we can process and respond. There's so much truth about it. I think a lot of times now, and again, they tell me to go to church and find a man, but Lord have mercy, it's a lot of women and not enough men to go around. Hallelujah. But
how can you go to church and find a man when all the real men is gone?
This is what I'm saying, Uncle Stu.
I don't want to get your channel shut down. I'll say it on the Patreon about the dude named Chris on Monday and something else next Monday. No.
It's a lot about faith, but it's hard to find men of faith. So Uncle Stu, I'm gonna bring it back to this.
I'm gonna drop down. This is Paris.
No, you don't gave us extra. You don't give us extra credit. But I would love to ask you: do you keep your wife happy, or is she already happy?
She's already happy. My job is not to make her happy. That's not scripture. That's not Bible. That's nothing. That's something created by feminism. Okay. Because if you look at that word happiness and joy and all this other stuff, my job is to keep her protected. It is to be able to do what? Wash her in the word of God. So how do I wash her in the word? It says, wash her in the words that she will become pure and come onto me. So how do I wash her in the word? I wash her in my life.
Yeah.
So I love her as God loves me. I love her. How does God love me? Because he makes sure that I'm healthy. He makes sure that I'm well. He makes sure that I'm nourished. Therefore, what is the example that God showed me? I now show it onto her. So when I show it onto her, I show her love by doing the very thing that God said to do. When she comes home, she doesn't have to worry about was the rent paid or was the mortgage paid. It's paid. She doesn't have to worry about the lights because she can click on the lights and the lights is on. She doesn't have to worry about clothes on her back because I make sure of that. It's not that I take her over as the father. It is because I do what I see my father do. So as I begin to intimately have a relationship with my God, I know how to have a relationship with the woman of God that's in my home. So if I am not a preacher of the house, it says that if I can't manage my own house, how can I manage the house of God? In other words, if I can't manage my own mind, my own soul, my own body, and even below my waistline, there is no way I can manage anything else that is going on. So what do we have? We have women, what the missing link is that for what Harry was trying to articulate in a different way, which is you have too many men that loves God. They just can't stand the church. And you need to understand the difference between loving God and loving the church. Right. You see, church is a building. Church is where you gather. Church is just something that people go to. But the problem is that, are you going to where the real God and Holy Spirit is, or are you just going there because someone told you? Your church is within you. Then you bring it into your home. And when people see the love of God in you, then you can take that love of God outside. So don't get caught up in my words and in the tone and in the mannerism in which I speak. Get caught up in my action. Get caught up in what you see. Get caught up when I can get off of this camera and you can see brown eyes for yourself face to face. What does she talk like? What does she look like? What does she sound like? How is she really happy? One thing about Perry and Intentional Millionaire, they know my home personally.
Right.
So they know whether I'm lying.
No, they will know you straight up and you being authentic. So when I hear this, and I'm just going to try to break it down for other people so that we can get some application out of this. And this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to think, okay, what would be the takeaways now?
And my wife told me stop yelling because she said I'm yelling at y'all.
You get excited, I know. And then you're like, oh, Uncle Stu about to let loose. But the beauty is I hear your passion because you are passionate about God. So when there are people who are, misusing or like, I see you, Rose, is saying no one, God is strong, no one can stand. That's deep. But the church does need reform. I agree with the second part. Because it has hurt a lot of people. It has misled a lot of people. It is not even addressing some of the needs some of the time. But every church I wouldn't paint with this one broad brush. There's some good men of God. There are some people that are preaching to men how to be men and how to seek God's face. And hopefully, like you said, the biggest ministry you have is to your husband and your husband to your wife. That's the biggest ministry. It cannot be at the church, cooking on Monday, doing a Bible study, prayer on Wednesday, choir rehearsal. You cannot be there every day, ma'am. Because your first ministry is at home to you and your family, and you're going to destroy your family. But I've had actual women I know say, my husband is going to leave me if I go to church as much as I've gone to church. And I'm like, think about that. The man God gave you, you are putting pastor before your man, and your man ready to leave you. And this seems right. This seems okay. There's so much there. But Uncle Stu, so I want to get to that premise and I guess some application. Since you're not saying, for you, Uncle Stu, how you've described it, you're saying, biblically speaking, there is no keep her happy. You are saying the example is, let me make my life an example after God, and that will keep her happy. That's your theory.
Yeah, and we got to understand that we, I don't want to say strange times because, I'm still under, everything that was done in the old is still, here. It just looks different, acts different, sounds different, smells different.
Right.
But there's so many levels to this word happiness. Every woman is, forgive me if I say all or nothing, because I really want to be sensitive about this. And I'm definitely open, to talk about it, on your panel, my panel, wherever. But we have to understand where did this concept of happiness come from? Because I can't make you happy. And I think that's the first mistake that people make. You have to be happy first. I have to be happy whether Brown Eyes is here or not. If I'm only happy when she's in my presence, something is wrong. If your husband is, in order for you to be happy, he has to be in your presence. Something's wrong. Something's missing. Something's broken. Yeah. The first happiness must come between my relationship with me and God. Why? Because if I'm happy, I have to be happy with her or without her. All she's doing is adding. She's the gift.
Yeah.
You understand? Because the womb is dead until the seed enters into the womb. Then it becomes life. So when we talk about the word, and the word says, submit unto your husband as you do unto the Lord. Right. So let's go there. The way I see women treating men, I know how you treat God. Most women are doing to God what they do to their man. So when you ignore God, you're ignoring that man. When you ignore his conversation, you're ignoring God. So I know how you have a relationship with God because I see how you have a relationship with man. Why? Because it says, what is done in heaven shall be done on earth. Many times we think in heaven always spiritual and happy and yay. No, what's done in the spirit is manifested down to the flesh. If you're not studying to show yourself approved, then you're also not studying that man to approve of that relationship. Relationship is work. Relationship is habitual communication. Prayer is nothing more than communicating with God. So if I'm not talking to God because I'm mad at him, I ain't going to talk to my husband. I ain't going to talk to my wife because I'm mad.
Wow.
One of the things
interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah. What did Perry say? Matter of fact, I'm going to really mess up the chat. What did Perry say? What did Kevin Samuels say? What does the word say?
Hmm.
Be ye renewed by the renewing of your mind, that you will prove what is the good and perfect will of the Father. What is God's will? Not Kevin Samuels, not Perry Unlikely. What is God's will for your life?
Mm. Mm.
And the problem is that we don't want God's will, we want our will. And instead of saying God's will shall be done, we want our will. So what is our will? We want to play in the field. We want to have all the sex we can before the age of 35. We want to have 4 babies. Then we want to sit up here and say, well, now I want a man of God. Why didn't you want that man of God at 18? Why didn't you want him at 19? Why didn't you want him at 20? Isn't it funny? I heard this from a wise man. Isn't it funny that women are the only ones that says, I want a man of God, but you'll never hear a man say, I want a woman of God. So it's now time for me to tell men, go find a woman of God. And if she's not A, B, and C, I'm going to leave it right there. Just marinate on that.
They don't want no woman of God, but okay, I'm gonna interrupt you and read some of the chat. And Perry Unlikely, I'm gonna let you respond first. Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say great points, and something I always say is this: the easiest way, and I say this about women, obviously, because I'm a man, but I would imagine it's probably the same way if it was reversed. The number one way to tell if a woman's a good woman is how she treat herself. How does she? Here's the deal. If you're out here busting it down in the street, doing this and that, you don't respect yourself. If you don't respect yourself, you're not going to respect me.
My Lord.
So that alone, people do give us signs of who they are.
But people think that's attractive, Perry Unlikely.
Yeah, and
people looking at that like, whoa, I don't want the church girl. I don't want you. I've had a man tell me, if you ever hear some of the conversation I've had with real people, I cannot wait to do my next few shows.
Well, and
because there's some red flags that some of these people need to hear. And they're calling themselves Christian, and they're calling themselves great men and all this other stuff, and they're chasing 304s. And they're chasing people in these streets. And what you're saying is so much wisdom. That right there, folks, was worth the price of admission tonight. Yeah, look at how she treats herself. And if she is already, what should I say, living in it's a self-inflicted kind of like pain, but it's being marketed as liberation.
Right. And then on the flip side, like I was saying, if we would just take those little clues. So for example, and that's provided people are being honest, but if you're really trying to find the answers, you'll see that. So for example, I've never been a cheater, but also what would back that up is the fact that I was disciplined enough to wait on my wife. So if I'm disciplined enough to do that, I'm disciplined enough to make the right decisions, not to go out here, messing up what I have. Right. But I'm also very careful about distancing myself from nonsense either. I don't put myself in certain situations, but I'm using that to say there's certain clues if people just look at, people will tell you how they're living. Right. I mean, people tell you how they're living, and that's the and you can see that in all facets of life. I tell people this all the time. Do people not understand that there's something to be said? Why are all these people who make 6 figures on YouTube? There's either something about corporate America or, the law world or something, but there's something about that place, those places that they're trying to move from, or there's something about the opportunity that exists.
Say it for real. They're trying to get the hell out.
Right. Yeah. Or there's something about the opportunity, but that's still a clue.
Both. Yeah.
You might want to say, hey, these are professionals. These aren't people who had nothing.
Right.
These are people who have things, but they're here. Let me go over here and poke around and see so we do get clues, and we have to, like people say, if someone shows you who they are, well, you do believe them.
Right. Right. Perry, you're giving us some wisdom. Let me read some of the chat, and I'm going to have you guys respond. This was a great question. Ace Butterfly, thank you. When Perry got married, did he cut off his single friends?
No, I did not. Now, here's the thing. I have a small circle anyway, but, I guess the only friends I have, the friends I have that are single, we're so tight. They're very, very respectful of of me and
they're not trying to have you in the riffraff and the foolishness. Okay,
no,
perfect.
and they are, you know, they've not had to, but they would hold me accountable. They'd be like, yo,
which
man,
is wonderful.
Yeah, so and these are friends that I've been like, I don't make I make more new friends on YouTube now than I do like.
So you're like, I've been with the same people the whole. Yeah, I love it.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I always stay around people that would hold me accountable anyway. So, and that's even the single friends. So
interesting. I'm gonna hear what Uncle Stu has to say in just a moment. Let me read a few more chats. Happiness comes from within, says Sandy B. Law. Can't find it outside of yourself.
So true.
TTOO said this: the Bible does say happiness on your wife that lasts a lifetime. I'm going to ask you to probably tell us where, but I'm not sure.
Yep. Give me scriptural reference.
Miss AKA Lady says, I love this. Yeah, happiness is internal, but close enough to you, people close enough to you can and mostly will affect that happiness, either in a positive or negative way. So yes, I can have my mindset right. I can have my, balance, my centering, my alignment with what we're talking about here, God's will.
Right.
But somebody could throw that off, right? The man you live with, the woman you live with, you could be in alignment. And that's why we have, all this kind of sometimes I would just say turmoil within households because someone is throwing someone off. Like I see your point very clearly. Let me read a couple more. Chemo, nice to see you, says the act of submission involves an exercise of humility and following leadership. Huge. I don't think when people think of submission, the following part is a very big statement. And what did it say in the Bible? If we're going from the Judeo-Christian model, husbands submit to your wife.
Husbands and wives submit one onto another. But then it also says about the wives submitting onto the husband as, and the key word is as, onto the Lord. So the understanding of that is that there's no rebellion being taken place. We're not looking at a man that's a tyrant. We're not looking at a man that's brutal. We're looking at a man that loves God, hopefully has good leadership skills, or developing those leadership skills and able to do what they want to do. There's something else in the chat. That scripture is incorrect. Proverbs 5:18 does not say anything about happiness. We can look at any translation.
Okay.
And you can go there and we can go look it up together.
Yes. Okay. They say, okay, Bible study at Uncle Stu's channel. TTO says some are chasing 304. Sometimes it's the 304s chasing them. Absolutely. Savior Black, nice to see you. Says the church is cooking tonight. He got the cigarette smoke. I love it. Ace Butterfly says the church, in quotes, has merely become a community center, a place to gather, nothing that will change your life before. Not everywhere.
When you finish with that, bring Ace Butterfly's quotation back because I'm going to challenge that.
Okay. Sherwin Thomas says Suzette. They mostly want 304s to have the relations with, not to be their wife or to have commitment. Okay. Still creating more savages, unfortunately. They said TTO says some good women pass because the 304s be shooting a shot, get passed by, I think, and we're quoting Proverbs, etc. Some men have a certain type of woman get burned. Then they say all women are like that woman. Anything worth keeping easy. Gospel piano lesson says must be in order. Savior Black says, please don't don't place blame. Take responsibility. We submit to our bosses 40 hours a week. We submit all the time when we believe it's worth it. Yikes. Truth. That's all right. Go ahead, Uncle Stu. What you want to address?
As Butterfly, I'm going to say this with a little sensitivity. So I want you to understand that this is not a personal attack against you because I love your commentaries. I really, really do. What's the difference between what a pastor do and what I see some content creators do? They gather the same types of community and they're doing the same thing. One of the things I always say to anybody, and I plan to say this on my platform, I don't really debate people. Because see, if your mind is fixed on hating something, there's nothing you, I, or Perry Unlikely is going to do to change that person's mind, whether it's a man or a woman. No matter how I speak it, no matter how I say it, it's already going to be a predetermined thing. So it's funny that we'll crucify one organization for doing something and then turn around and never crucify the other organizations that do the same thing. So what am I saying? It's easy to crucify the church. And yes, I can crucify various leaderships in the church. But I also have to have that same weight if I see it done other places that people have the same types of power and influence. So we're looking at the same community, and I always have to ask, which one is worse? The one that's running the church and taking the money from the women on one side, or those same content creators that's doing the same thing? Mm-hmm. So what anybody you listen to, what is the end result and what is the real motivation? See, just like you, I'm going to just use you. One of the things I remember that you talked about on my platform so eloquently, and I'm sorry, maybe I need to do a clip and just send it to you and let you put it on your platform. The most powerful thing you said, and I said, you need to say that on your platform. You said, a lot of men is kind of intimidated because they see me, the lawyer, but they don't realize that my heart would give this all up for the right man, and I'll even take the lowest salary. Women need to hear that. They don't need to hear it from me. They don't need to hear it from Perry Unlikely. They need to hear that from you, because you stated again in the interview, you said, a lot of women don't realize that the work I do and the jobs that I've taken forced me to become masculine, unawares. So a lot of things my sisters are doing are becoming masculine in unaware ways.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation that's not talked about. But you brought that up. And I think that was one of the most powerful statements you could ever have given. And I think that's a conversation that only women can have, which is, are we masculine? Not because a man left, not because of the heart. Are we masculine because we've taken jobs maybe we should not have taken?
Or we have to pay our own bills, so we have to take them.
Right. And then because I make this statement, Brown Eyes is watching you in another room. When I met her, there was some masculine energy, but it wasn't this, I'm hard, it wasn't none of that. But there was some masculinity, but there was a reason behind it. She was a single mother, raising boys.
Yeah.
But guess what? All she got now is feminine energy. Why? Mm-hmm. Because Uncle Stu was able to present the masculinity, which melted away the femininity. But what would have happened if she stayed that way?
Yeah.
Being transferred by the renewing of your mind. I'll be glad to show women this, but you have to, as it says, come unto me, all who is laden and burdened, and I will give you rest. The first thing you have to admit is, I'm tired, I'm broken, can I get rest? But if I give you the answer, don't go back to your platform, open up a laptop and say, I don't want to do that. Then don't complain about the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I also need to give that some context, because a lot of folks, I think a lot of women don't understand the viewpoint I think we run into from our male counterparts based on, just how we're regularly able to, or like required to operate. And I'm not talking to people who, are forcibly masculine or talking about myself. Let me just talk about myself.
Right.
But I do feel like there's so much of us that are in a corporate climate or corporate environment where we cannot necessarily, what should I say, reserve ourselves. You almost have to. It's a competition. This is capitalism. This is placing our, our horse in the race and pushing. And I think those skills are important, but when it comes to relational skills in a marriage, sometimes those skills do us a disservice when it comes to us finding a good pairing. And I think when I speak about that, it is now my understanding that a lot of where I have to be, in terms of my mindset and my heart, my drive, desire, my wisdom of protecting myself, is you can lay it down in front of a person who is truly, and again, that's where we're talking about marriage material,
right?
So that you don't have to have all of that up or forward facing all the time. So I really want to be clear on that, because I think a lot of women don't even realize, Uncle Stu, what I was describing there. Because again, it's just a fact of life. Who gonna do it? Who gonna make sure the lights on? Who's gonna do it? So you just do it. But I would just remind us all, myself included, just to make room for leadership when you meet it, when it's deserved, right? When that respect, when that mutuality, like Perry unlikely talked about, how I think God aligned his wife. Did you pray for your wife to come? Did you pray for your wife?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just I was praying for like what's next, where do I go from here? And that's kind of what I was just waiting on, some instruction, and that's when things started to line up. But I was definitely, it was also about me being in a place where I had reached that point where, hey, I'm perfectly cool. I won't accept anything less than this, and I'll just continue on. And that's the thing too, like that's what I love. And I really, even to this day, I'm like, I walk outside some mornings and I'm like, man, I'm happy. Like, cause I just see the sun and I really am happy, and I'm happy for my own reasons. Right. So it's not external. It's not about someone else. I'm just happy. Now, my wife and children add that to it. But yeah, I absolutely did pray for it. And I think an important part, because you mentioned leadership, I do think women got to do a better job of analyzing. Like, think about it. If a man is not, and I've got to assume with other religions that there's clearly some defined, there's got to be something defined about how you, the husband are leading. I'm sure, as far as just a husband in general, I would say. But if you're not looking to God, right, and you have literally no military experience, no leadership experience, what do you think you're going to get? You're getting a man who's just out here roaming, who's talking about having a program. If nothing else, if I didn't know God, I have a business degree, right? It helps you to some degree, but I have leadership. I've been a leader at a high level for years. You're going to gain some things from that in dealing with people and having hundreds of people that work for you, that you can take that home. So there's a lot of expectations, I think, of, I do want to be led, but I'm choosing someone who's not led anybody ever. And if they're not looking to God and don't have some book of telling you it's an outline of how it's to be, to me, it's just asking for.
You're blind leading the blind.
Right. Yeah. It's a bad recipe. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Out.
So looking at where his leadership comes from is important. And TCO, we're not saying taking a job makes a woman masculine.
Right.
Right. But go ahead and respond, Uncle Stu.
Yeah. Put up the Intentional Millionaires quote.
I can find it. I'm always behind. I'm gonna click through.
10:05.
I don't see no timestamp, but real quick, Samuel Black, the lesser of two evils, the church or the YouTuber, both are wrong. We quibble between the two. Identify the evil. Miss AKA says, exactly. We gotta pay bills. My mind turns off when I hear a man try to convince a woman not to go get financial independence. You got to get your money and still be a full woman. That's the balance. That's the balance.
Yes,
exactly. We have to pay our own bills. A lot of us have to pay our own bills to fix the broken pipe. Yes. I agree with this. Though, if a woman is heterosexual, they'll be feminine for the right man. I agree with that. Let me see. TTO says, I'm not from this camp of women are masculine. A lot of leaders and my aunts would be considered masculine the way KS followers use it. Okay.
Let me get this. First of all, I need everybody to understand. I really wish a lot of people stopped using this Kevin Samuels followers. I never really listened to a lot of Kevin Samuels content because, one, I'm older than Kevin Samuels. Two, a lot of the stuff that he was saying, we were saying during the Million Man March back in the 90s. We just packaged it in a way that was successful. The question becomes, I'm going to say it this way, as an older man, I can't talk for the 20s. I can't talk for the 30-year-olds. You get a 40-year-old man that kind of got himself together, or a 50-year-old man like myself got himself together. It only takes 15 minutes to let me know whether you're the one or not. And I need you to understand, it only takes 15 minutes of a conversation, and I've already categorized you.
Yes.
If I am a traveled man, so don't come to me and say, well, I'm a travel woman. Where have you traveled? Oh, I took a cruise. You say a cruise to a travel man, he's going to laugh at you and he's going to walk away. And you're not going to understand why.
Nah, two different levels. And I'm going to add this. Xavier Black. And again, it's not this. I see what you're going, or I don't know where you're going. I just want to address this. Well deserved. Every man who's out here dating Xavier Black is not looking for a wife. That's what I mean when it's deserved. It's a lot of playboys out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of playboys out here. When I have some of these conversations, it almost gives a presumption that every man in the market is looking for a wife. This is not true. Right. So when I say when it is deserved, is when it's not a man who's trying to pretend to be a leader, provider, protector, just to get your draws. That's what I mean. So when it's deserved, I can lay down my protection. Until that, I have to almost protect myself from you, because some of y'all just want to run through and don't pick up tomorrow. You understand? So when I say it's deserved, it's not about what they call, and I don't know if that's what you were going for, sir, conditional femininity, but you can lay it down when a man is really true, when the intent is there. But like I said, I don't tell women to go and lay out everything feminine, because some people are abusers. Some people are hit and run artists. This is the real dating market, the real dating scene. Mm-hmm. So if you are too pushover, you're going to get eaten up, man. There's sharks in the water. So that's what I mean. I want to be very clear. It's all about handling your business, but I'm different. I like tough women. Okay, get ready. Miss AKA Lady says, it's hella risky to put your entire financial dependence on a man's wallet. If that relationship ends, then what? My wallet protects me from being left out in the cold. I can afford the heat. Hey.
Let me speak to her on this.
Yes.
As a father, who's married off 3 daughters, got 1 more to go. I'm not rushing my last one for another reason, but I totally agree. In today's times, I don't see anything wrong with, because I'm retired, so I'm good. My whole household is good. Thanks to people like Intentional Millionaire, Very Unlikely. Trust me, we get together all the time. But I'm good. She still works. Why does she still work? One of the things that she explained to me, it had nothing to do with me. It had to do everything with what she said. Hey, I want to have this form of finance because I've worked at it. It doesn't take away anything from me. It just adds to it. So her income is more an addition, not a subtraction of my masculinity. Gotcha. And I will agree with Perry on this, where sometimes I think these conversations does get muddled.
Yeah.
And does get kind of confusing, because I think you can speak in a general, but then sometimes you have to get a little bit more.
It's a lot of exceptions. Exactly. We're talking about a certain individual with a certain mindset here.
Exactly. Because
it's not for the crowd. It's not for the crowd. No.
I let everybody know. Perry cooks, I cook.
You're right. Yep.
I am the cook. I'm the cook in the house and I'm the cook on the grill. But that's because I've been cooking all my life. How do I cook all my life? What did my mother teach me? My mother and father taught me how to cook, because what was the first thing they taught me? Learn how to cook. So if your woman don't cook for you, you'll never go hungry. So guess what? I've always learned how to cook, but I love cooking. That doesn't take away my masculinity because I go in the kitchen and cook. That just what I love to do.
Exactly. So this was the comment I think you had, Uncle Stu. It's the fear of letting go. Men have to be genuine. Thank you, the intentional millionaire, about their protection, guidance, and I just would say overall intention.
Yes.
For a woman to have trust in him. Go ahead.
And I want women to understand that even in certain platforms of the manosphere, I'll say it, many other male content creators have said this. We have gotten on men for lying. Tell the truth. If I meet you online and all I'm looking is for a one night stand or whatever,
keep it 100.
I'm gonna just be straight up. Hey, this one, because I tell anybody, listen, when I got out on the dating scene, it changed. I'm straight up with it. When I got out on the dating scene, I'm talking to you, Perry. Perry, I've said this story over and over.
Yeah.
Dude, they asked me 3 questions. You got a job? You got an income? You got a place to stay? You got a car?
Right.
Really, I didn't even have to take nobody out to dinner. As long as I had those 3 things, I was good. But every time my intention was up front. Listen, I don't really want a relationship. This is Uncle Stu was a player. Now he done put up his player card, y'all. So don't be trying to click me and say, Uncle Stu is this.
Uncle Stu don't make me choke. Uncle Stu don't make me choke.
But I'm really saying, men, the manosphere will get on men and say, just be upfront.
Right.
You don't have to lie. Don't lie and say to this woman, I want to marry you just to get the box. And then you get mad at her reaction. No, you came in line. Just be upfront, because there's women that's on the other side. There's women that don't want relationship. They want it just like you want.
So be real. Be real.
Well, let's just be real. I'm not here to put anybody into. I don't have a heaven or a hell to put you in. I just say, if you're going to be that type of man, just be upfront with it, because there is women that play
that game.
Will play that game with you. You just got to find her. For that woman that says, I want to be a wife, then get and go to wife school.
We're going to have wife school here, right here on SuzetteSpeaks. On the SuzetteSpeaks Patreon, we're going to have wife school. I love it.
I want to say, I do agree. Uncle Stu was saying that, the dating scene has changed, but that's also why I think it's important that you got to do that self work, because, for example, there's a good amount of time that I felt like, for whatever reason, I just wasn't what women were looking for, right? For little parts of time. I don't know why, but the thing is, I didn't care. I worked hard. I made money. I've always had well intentions. And because of that, now a lot of men will get butthurt over it. I didn't care. It's like when you're leaned on your ladder's on the right wall, you just got to keep on climbing it. And that's what I did. So, but that is what people are saying, that, there's the red pill rage. That's what people are saying after they come through that and they kind of are able to just chill out and stay focused on the right thing. That's why people always talk about doing your passion, keeping your head down and moving forward. So that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier, that it is not easy. And I think Intentional Millionaire made a good point. It is hard on both sides. I definitely see where it's hard out there, because that's still rejection, right? I mean, you're talking to me, someone who didn't grow up with a father. So facing rejection, that's a battle. So that's something I had to work through as well. So I just think it's important we all work through, our issues and stuff.
I love it. I love the chat. The chat is really wonderful tonight. If y'all watching the replay, make sure you playing it with the chat on. So many different opinions about leadership, about making sure you understand where a man's leadership lies. Right? Where is he getting his ideas and his vision for his life? It's super important to know that off rip. Miss AKA Lady says, I pick up on the vibes quick. Ace Butterfly said, you can't be a shark swimming, or you can't be a goldfish swimming with sharks. It's just not how life works. And
Ace Butterfly, I'm going to steal that quote. I need that quote.
Yes, I liked it a lot. No, it's real out here. TZOO say they headed out. Okay, I appreciate you. You've been busy in the chat for sure. I think there's so many nuggets of truth these gentlemen have just shared. And I'm gonna last call for the panel. If y'all want to come up, last call to join. Don't be trying to come up 10 minutes from now. Join now. And thank you, Sunbreeze, for doing such a wonderful job in the chat and moderating tonight. But I want to make sure, we give some people some application and some take homes when it's saying you're not keeping your wife happy, but you're saying, Uncle Stu, solid, principled, for you, Christian leadership will keep a wife happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to work on individual buy her gifts. Now, you don't buy Brown Eyes gifts?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Very about
you tell me all you do is practice the Bible and she good. I'm like, I don't know.
Very about to spill the beans.
No.
Okay, so you do gift giving.
He came bearing gifts last weekend.
Let's just say she got receipts. Yes.
So there's nothing wrong with gift giving, Uncle Stu.
Right.
Yeah, she got an MK bag for Mother's Day, and she just got a Coach bag this past weekend, along with some other high value.
Okay. Right. So Brown Eyes love language is designer purses. Sound like a woman after my heart.
Do I need to call Brown Eyes in here?
I used to follow the Bible. I'm trying to get the application together. The Tech Type R says Ephesians 5:25. I wish I knew the Bible well enough. I don't know what that verse is. Uncle Stu, help us out. But okay, so there is gift giving. What about compliments? Uncle Stu, do you give your wife compliments?
Yes. Yes, I give her compliments. We talk all the time. And then there are times where we disagree on many different areas of manosphere talking points or, relationship issues. We have those conversations. So
are you the king of the castle if y'all disagree? How is conflict handled?
Oh yeah. Conflict is all we've never argued. We've never had an argument.
How come? How come y'all so special that y'all don't argue?
Do I need to call her in here? Because see, I need everybody to understand.
PMC
there you go. There you go. You know, sitting is rocking. Okay, you hold on. Let me go get the woman.
Leave the best for last. Here we go. A man married how many years? 30-some years. XDMC, welcome. How
32 years.
Oh, wow, man.
32 years. Now, Uncle Stu gave us the biblical pouring in, but I want people to leave with some practice.
But it's fun. It's 32 years. And when I say that, I want to really emphasize it's a successful 32 years. Has it been a smooth road? Yeah, basically, it's been some bumps, but nothing that, oh, girl, we got to go to counseling. This ain't gonna work. It was
nothing wrong with that, but yeah, you're saying
it
nothing
hasn't
major.
been that, you know. But if it had to, yeah, we would have we'd have done that. And I sort of look at it like this. It's not a woman got to get their act together. A men got to get their act together. We all got to get our acts together.
Absolutely.
Right. And as a man, for me, I feel it is my responsibility to convince that woman that I want to marry, who is out there and she's masculine, let's say, she got the guards up, or she's a lawyer, or whatever. It is my job to convince, improve, to win your trust, to let you know you can turn it off when you home. You don't have. I don't want you to get rid of it because you're gonna need it.
This world is a cruel place.
But you can turn it. You can turn it off when you're home with me.
Right.
Because I got you.
Right.
Now go get that Victoria's Secret.
Hold on, guys. Hold up. Don't make it so I feel so comfortable. We can just do what we do. Brown Eyes, welcome. Look at how you came in the show. We talking about all kinds of stuff. Welcome. How are you? Oh, you muted. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Nice to meet you.
You as well. I'm fine. How are you all? I don't know why I'm here.
I love it. I'm excited because I want to see if Uncle Stu's telling the truth. He talking about he just followed the Bible. But we are doing a show tonight called How to Keep a Wife, in quotations, ... happy. So if I were to ask you how he say he don't have to keep you happy, he just got to show Christian leadership, right? But What does Uncle Stu do from your perspective that makes you happy?
He takes very, very good care of me, first and foremost. He listens. Mm-hmm. We listen to each other. We take very good care of each other. He's a good man.
When you say take very good care, give us a couple examples.
How about your Mother's Day gifts?
Wait, Uncle Stu. I'm interviewing her. How you gonna tell her what to say?
I'll get out the studio.
This is not your turn. This is not your turn. She got to think of what she would consider for herself. I love this about him, or I love when he does this for me.
He's very much a leader, and it makes it easy for me to follow his lead. And he shields me and has shielded me when I needed to be shielded, and filled me in on whatever was he was shielding me from afterwards.
Yes.
So I can definitely appreciate that. Some examples you asked me for.
Does he run the bath water? Is he rubbing the feet at night? What's going on over there?
Oh God. He's not that type. He's not gonna run the bath water. No, but at the same token, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it either.
Okay.
But when I say he takes the lead, like when I lost my son, he very much took the reins, took the lead on things, shielded me when I needed to be, comforted me when I needed it. He allowed me to yell, to scream, to cry, to do whatever.
Yeah.
In that particular moment, and was just there for what I needed, because I didn't know that was going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, when he recently just lost his father and the tables were turned, I was able to give back to him exactly what he gave to me. Like I said, he listens. And if I say, okay, we need to work on our communication, or we need to do this, or we need to do that, he absolutely hears me. But when I say he hears me, it's not, okay, I hear you, and he takes his time, and in his own way and space, I know that he heard me from his actions.
Oh, wow.
He practices.
I'm taking notes. Let's go.
He practices what he preaches. I mean, he honestly does.
No, listen what you just said. I know he heard me from his actions.
Yeah.
That's so deep.
That's
so profound.
And when I say that because it triggers me to be like, baby, you heard me, and I appreciate that you heard me. It may not be in that same 5 minutes. Right. It might be a day later, it might be a week later, whatever. But it lets me know he heard me, or vice versa. I know he's really preachy and everything, but he is crazy. He is crazy. We laugh so much. And we go in stores and places, and people remember him because of his character. Yeah. And we just have a good time together. Yeah. And the fact that when I said to him when we first met, got together, that type of thing, that I needed the males in my life, being at that time my sons, my two sons, my father, my stepfather, my uncle, I needed them to vet him. He didn't have a problem with that. And
may I ask you how long you dated?
We're still dating.
Oh, praise God. Praise God. So, and you said you needed your people to vet him. How long have you guys been married now?
We have been together, oh my gosh. Believe it or not, it hasn't been 2 years yet.
No way. So y'all newlyweds too.
We online.
Mm-hmm. Match.com?
No.
Okay.
Actually on Facebook.
Oh wow.
So we met online. And I will say our first conversations were for quite some time, for like over a month or so, were just text messages and just casual, and he would tell me good morning, have a good day, really casual, that type of thing. And then just through text messages, our relationships.
No, they call DMs, my love. DMs.
No, they weren't DMs. They were text.
They were actual text. Okay, I was just going to say that was on Facebook. That's called a DM, ma'am. But you're saying no. Okay, my bad. Sorry for this.
He got the number. He got the number. He had the direct call. Okay.
Exactly, actual text messages.
Okay, my bad.
Because I'm not gonna lie, he knows this story. I remember one of the very first text messages he sent me was like, I think it took up 3 text message screens. And I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Yeah, y'all, first of all, doesn't she look really happy?
Right.
But that's all the time. It's funny because when Uncle Stu is on and he brings Brown Eyes on, she doesn't know that she's coming on all the time. And I've seen this happen more than once. And when she comes on, this is what I notice. She's always smiling. She's happy. Her hair is together. Her makeup. She is together.
No makeup.
And when you keep yourself together like that for your man, not even for yourself, but for something, he's doing something right.
Yes.
Yeah. He allows me to be me.
Yeah.
More so than, I've been married, divorced. He allows me.
Both are on second marriages?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yes. So he allows me to be myself more so than I can say any other relationship. And, my ex-husband was my high school sweetheart. I've known him over half my life.
Oh, wow.
But pay raises. You're right. We'll have a discussion. But he allows me to be me in such a way that I've never had before. In such a way that just allows me to exhale, if that makes any sense.
That is
totally.
You don't have to what they say, small up yourself, make yourself smaller. You don't have to hide parts of yourself. You don't have to censor parts of yourself. You can live almost fully expressed with someone else.
We have conversations.
Wonderful.
And we disagree on things, and it's okay. And we can still have real conversations, and we can have those moments where I get to express my opinion.
I didn't know August do know about the DMs and the snaps. That's so funny.
Well, you know what I love what
you said. Old man on the block, but he's not that old.
Apparently.
But you said 2 things that I really love that I can relate to. You said y'all have fun together. You actually like being with each other. And being in my marriage 32 years, I actually like being around my wife. I don't mean like, oh, I gotta go home. Oh, she's here. I enjoy her company. That's one. The other is when you say, and people may take it like, what do you mean he allows? But no, that's real. He allows you to be yourself, to be comfortable, to be who you are. I provide a safe space for my wife. Before we got married, we knew that I was going to be the provider when it came time for kids. Now she worked, had a career, but we planned that ahead of time. We had that discussion before, so there was no surprises or anything like that. I knew I was going to have to make some sacrifices also, and she was down for that. But I provide a safe financial environment. I provide a safe environment, period.
Right.
Where she don't want for in her hair's together too, and she's smiling too.
Lord, give me a man that's gonna keep me together. Give me a man that's gonna keep me together.
I do want to say that's a great point you make, because I never really thought about that till you said that. But I take, I would take, I don't as much anymore, but I take trips for work. And it's about a 3-hour drive one way. And, I could stay, but I like to come home. I just like to I like to be at home. I want to sleep in my own bed with my wife. So you know what I'm saying? So I do enjoy being with my wife, and that says a lot. I mean, I really think that says a lot. Especially, and something I always say is you always hear people, irreconcilable differences. But when I got married, look, me and my brother don't disagree on everything, but never once thought about there being an end to our relationship. So when it comes to my wife, like what we do know, we're not going to cheat on each other. That we have certain boundaries. We're not going to disrespect each other, and all those other things. I mean, to me, you just work through them. You don't betray each other's trust, and that does happen for some people, and they're able to work through it. But we set these boundaries, and as long as we keep those, it doesn't mean it's always easy. But the rest of it, you can kind of, if you can keep the trust and things like that, I think the rest of it, you just continue to grow and work through. So
I love it.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly, because he has nothing to worry about. When I go to work, I have nothing to worry about. He's at home, or if he goes to New York or South, wherever. I'm like, okay, I'll see you when you get back, or if I go out with my girlfriends, he's like, I'll see you when you get back. So I don't have anything to have to worry about, and neither does he, and that's a huge comfort.
Right.
But you have to have that established trust, unbroken, where women and men can look at, I don't have to worry about this certain thing. It's when the trust is broken, it's so difficult to rebuild. And I think what you guys have demonstrated, I've seen a comment, why does the married men online seem so calm? They do. Not everyone everywhere who's married is like this, because again, there's certain characteristics that I'm picking up from the gentlemen who are here and brown eyes that describe, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at how marriage can be. Right. Like, we only hear in the negative, and when people, like all these divorce cases and high profile, just toxicity, but there are beautiful, well-balanced, well-adjusted people who find each other. And again, second marriages, sometimes I think you even get a better man on the second marriage. Yeah. But it's like, I'm not even, no shade, but I'm just saying he's lived. He has understood mistakes. And same for you, ma'am. So I feel like there's so much there that we can learn from. But again, I'm going to start with XCMC. We're going to do a round robin. What can a man do, if anything, to help keep a wife happy? Go ahead, XCMC.
I think the first, make sure he's happy, taking care of himself first, and then can give that attention to the wife, to keep her, to that detailed understanding of where, if the communication on, I would say, let's say with myself, for one of the road bumps in the road was when we had kids. And when you have kids, not all, but some women bodies go through changes.
Absolutely.
And when they go through those changes, sometimes when you used to drop it like it's hot every other night, you just want to drop it once a week. Well, and you start going, well, wait, what is it? Do she not? But no, do your research and find out and communicate and find out, wait a minute, she's going through something. So let's go through it together. I can read. I can find out what's going. Do my research. I ain't gonna just, okay, this ain't working, I'm out, and stomp and go find somebody else. No,
right?
No, and then we did that. We talked, and she was like, "I ain't think you really even want to talk about it." Well, shame on you, because I'm here for better and for worse. And we worked that out, and it's dropping now. But it's I don't TMI. But it's all it's all good. Just work on that communication. Work on that communication.
That's real, and I think that's beautiful. That when there are problems, you don't tuck tail, you don't accuse the other person or think it's about you. Even think sometimes people personalize things, even in friendships, so much, and it's like I only said that because it was something going on in me. It really wasn't about you. Love this. Miss AKA Lady adds, happily married people come off as a real level-headed and generally peace-oriented, the happily married ones, but understanding there are changes in life, changes in bodies, even with men.
Yeah.
I know we don't like to talk about it, but men change too.
Yeah, it's real.
In their abilities, praise God. So we have to be open and have that, I guess, just that love for each other and commitment to say, babe, we got to talk about this. Let's work through it. Let's work on it. Let's not hide from it or be mad at each other or, scornful or any of those things towards each other. Let's handle it. I think, the communication ability I see is a big threat as well. You guys are all good communicators. So it doesn't seem like,
you have to have the honesty.
Yeah.
You have to and you have to be honest with your partner and be able to, one, share those truths and receive the same truths back to you, because just because you're feeling one way doesn't mean that your partner's not feeling some sort of way too. And you have to be able to talk to them about it, good, bad, or otherwise, because you're not going to get through that until that happens. I mean, I think it's part of those, well, he and I call them seasons, those seasons that you go through, which teach you and show you how to deal with somebody else and other situations and things. So you got to go through those seasons, and it makes you come out better on the other side, good, bad, or otherwise, I think. Because I tell him all the time, he's not always my favorite person. He's not. He knows that. I mean, we have our disagreements. We absolutely do. Yeah. But we don't go to bed with that disagreement between us.
Right.
That's so good. Because I think people think, Chemo made a comment, and you open a can of worms, Chemo. They're going to be curious, but I think people think sometimes in marriage, when you're happily married, there are no issues and no disagreements and no, differences of opinion. And that's absolutely farthest from the truth ever.
Absolutely.
And when you describe Brown Eyes, just keeping it real with the other person, this hurt my feelings, or this is not working for me, or I noticed this was a big change, or can I understand why you now say this and you don't say that anymore, or you don't look at me like the way I felt like you looked at me, whatever it is. The authentic, genuine ability to have a safe space, to say it out loud and not be rejected, not be belittled, not be, turned away. I see that as a common thread here. You guys are really, operating in that safe space concept like a real deal. Like, people in marriages sometimes cannot say things to their husband. They got to hide. They can't say things to their wife. They got to hide. And that, I think, is like that red flag zone. So wonderful communication is what I'm seeing as a common thread here.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with asking your partner if they're okay, and more importantly, being okay with whatever answer they give you. If they're not okay, if you can help them through whatever it is they're going through, or if you can just be there, or do you need space? But you've got to be able to be okay with whatever it is that they tell you, and because that's what they need.
Exactly. And it might hurt your feelings. And I'm not even married. I think it was Dr. Thunder who said that on his channel. He was like, my wife really cares about me. And I thought, shouldn't everybody's wife really care about them? But then I realized probably everyone's wife does not care about them.
Yeah, that's true.
And so he was just like, when my wife genuinely says, are you okay? I know she's like really thinking about my well-being. Ladies, take tips, take notes, because that, I don't think sometimes we know that men need to hear that from a genuine place. That, are you okay? And then I can help address, even though it may hurt my feelings, what happened to make you not okay. It's not my fault, but hopefully we can find places where we can, work on together. But it's very interesting. That simple question also, I think, keeps a lot of people, men specifically, kind of like grounded and happy.
Now, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
When they buy you stuff or treat you to something, that's good too.
Listen, is that the bag he bought you for Mother's Day? He don't put in the background? Is that the bag he bought you?
Oh, that's his.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I thought, look at Uncle Stu with the personal branding, putting bags in the back of the shop.
Well, you know, men, I know I already went. I just want to say this real quick because
Yes.
what you said, Brown Eyes, I do agree with as far as like the honesty, being honest. But men, be careful because the honest from women, that honesty could be a trap. If she brought a pair of shoes and she said, I love these shoes, what do you think? If she already said she loved them, that's a trap. You say you love them too. If she says, does this dress make me look big? Now she know what that dress make her look like. Why is she asking you? Just say, no, you look fine.
Nope. It's good. It's really good.
That's the key to happiness, y'all. Agree with the wife.
Yeah.
Wish she she done outgrew that size, but she ain't bought new size. Just tell her, baby, you look great. You know you look
and
great.
also realize, like I had to tell my son the other day for Mother's Day, they're expecting. And I said, well, baby, what did you get her? And he says, nothing. Why? Because she said, I'm not a mother yet. I said, and you listen to that? No. Come on over and let's go shopping.
My sister had to remind me of that because I was like,
just because she said she didn't want anything does not mean you don't get her anything. So, you know, you gotta learn to read between the lines too. So, but
no, I hear you. Any final tips? Again, this is we're gonna close off in just a moment here. This has been fantastic. So XDMC, any final words from you? Then Brown Eyes, then Perry Unlikely. Final tips.
I'm good.
How to keep a wife happy or any other marriage advice. This is so good, y'all.
I think I can save it for part 2 when you have it. I'll make sure I come up early or whatever. But I let Perry go in. But like I said, that honesty. But my main one is communication. That communication and not taking for granted. You know, don't take for granted that because I keep the refrigerator full, that it's not nice to hear sometimes, you know, I appreciate what you do. You know, and if I do something that I know my wife can't stand, like leaving something somewhere, and she mentions it, I hate I don't like when you leave that there. Okay. And it's no longer left there. You'd be surprised on how much they appreciate that you listened. Not that like a child, but you took it, because what's the big deal of me moving my shoes from one place to another? Yeah. When I come back, that's not a big deal. And stop making something a big deal when it's not. When it's not, what's really going on? And one of the things that my wife and I, and my whole family, actually, my daughters, that I explained to them one day was I was coming home from work and they were all speaking, talking, hey, daddy, my wife, how you doing? Hugs and everything. And my daughter asked me a question, and I've mentioned this before, but my daughter asked me a question. She said, daddy, how you feel? And I didn't know how to answer it because no one has asked me that, especially in my house, for a long time.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, I'm trying to think, how do I feel? I guess because you can't end up feeling invisible.
Wow.
For a minute. When there's so much going on.
When the kids come, when life is happening, when the job is
and
rolling.
So when my wife heard that,
yeah,
she went, wow. You know, I've been taking care of the kids, doing this and that. I haven't asked you how you feel. I said, no, you haven't. You know, but I know the love is there. How do I know the love is there? How do I know my kids love me? Because when I was battling cancer and I was at that, it was bad. Yeah. I said it took that for me to know, okay, I guess my kids do like me. But my wife, she was a trooper. She did that. I will never, ever forget that.
Wow.
Money can't buy that. The house that we have, what she did for me.
Yeah.
Because I was jacked up.
Yeah.
But 2 years cancer free.
God be praised.
You know, so
you got a real one. It sounds like you got a real one.
Yeah.
Again, where that kind of love is, y'all. Where that kind of that got you in sickness and in health.
Yeah. But I can keep going, but I'm gonna let you go. That's all I got. I don't want to be your life.
It's inspiring, XDMC. Thank you for sharing that, because I think people don't know that type of love exists still. Commitment like that exists still. Women look out for their husband, not trying to pull the plug, not trying to do anything crazy, but really nursing someone back to health. That's a deep.
And I can honestly say, like I'm glad you said that with pulling the plug, because with my portfolio insurance, except she would have been okay.
Oh Jesus.
So
oh Lord.
I know she was there for me, because it was a better payday if I was out.
You know? She actually loved you. She was like, he's like, if you calculated all the assets, we're gonna have a dinner party. No, people, when I look at some of the people that I'm telling you, they married, they got a lot, but they're not happy.
Yeah.
I don't want that. It almost feels like it's a robbery of sorts. Because marriage is supposed to be at times just blissful. It's gonna have challenges.
You're not living.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't want a marriage to like stagnate me and then hurt me or hold me hostage. But I think that's the kind of warped version that we're kind of being, I don't want to say sold, but very much, is given more of a high profile than what y'all are talking about. And guys, this is real people. Ms. AKA Lady, summarize what XDMC says. Communication, check. Not taking your partner for granted, check. Listening, check. Be hesitant to hostility, check. Show genuine concern, check. XDMC, that was solid advice. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Appreciate you coming through. We taking notes, y'all. For those of us with hope still, thank you, XDMC, for coming up and sharing your personal journey and what to look for and what you need, as well as what she needs. Really appreciate you, brother. I'm gonna drop you down.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you very, very, very soon. Thank you so much for the support. Go ahead, Brown Eyes. I'll let you get your final thoughts in, and I think Uncle Stu, if he wants to, but no. Just keep it Brown Eyes. Brown Eyes. Brown Eyes.
He made me come in here, so it's my. I think my biggest thing would be to make sure that if that is the person that is your person, be their ride or die. Pick up and show them that you can support where they fall short. Don't question it. Don't throw it back in their face, because it's not about them. It's about the two of you. It's about your family. You're not just jumping in because this bill got missed or whatever the case may be. You're jumping in to be that extra support and help, because what works for them works for you as well. And that in turn can help make you a happy wife and have a happy husband and a happy relationship, happy partner, happy whatever adjective you want to put on it. So being that ride or die, I think, is extremely important in any type of relationship, because they know you have their back no matter what. Good times, bad times, sick, the whole thing, sickness, health, richer.
Listen, my parents
used to say, no poor.
Same thing. No, like, if there's a grave, I'm jumping down in it with you. That's like a whole saying. I'm like, no, don't say that. But that's the type of love they meant, the commitment they made. Excuse me. Uncle Stu, thank you. Even from the sidelines, still very much involved in tonight's show. Thank you for the love. Says, I got punked off the show. LOL. Brown Eyes will be the next guest on the Suzette Speaks Nation.
He knows I don't do this.
Well, you're doing a great job, but I think
I do this for a living, so I don't do this.
No, this is so sweet though. But I love the fact that, it's kind of like that. I don't want to say motherly love, because we're not giving men necessarily motherly love, but I would just say that version of unconditional love that so many people lack. The sense that I know she will be behind me no matter what, rain or shine, sickness or health, work out or fall short. Sometimes the failure and the mess up comes too.
Right.
But that type of unconditional love, I think, transforms men into like who they're supposed to be. Like, it can build them the confidence They're even how they think of themselves and their abilities. Yep. Like once they know somebody's in that corner, it's different. I don't know. I'm just.
You're absolutely right, because it allows them to be themselves, and it allows them. And he probably doesn't want me to say this, but it allows them to be vulnerable with you, yes, whereas they're not going to be vulnerable with the outside world. So it gives them. Thank you. It gives them that chance to be able to let things go and know that it's going to stay right where it is, and you're going to be there to help with whatever it is. And I think that goes both ways. Male, female, female, male. It goes both ways. So
I love it.
He does that. We gotta do that for him.
We enjoy having you on here, girl. My sinus medicine about to wear out. So I appreciate you. Brown Eyes, you are welcome up any and every time. If you want to kick Uncle Stu out to the side, just let him know it's your turn on the show. And we enjoyed, again, there's no, hiding this. That real authentic, happiness, contentment is all over you, love. And it's refreshing to see someone who's like living what they're preaching. So shout out to Uncle Stu for keeping Brown Eyes happy, even though he say that's not his job, but it looked like he's doing his job. So I love it.
Listen to that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you being on tonight and for allowing us into y'all's, situation. Appreciate you so much. And I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye now. And now, Perry Unlikely, the man who started the conversation. Yeah, I got to take a break. Y'all want me to talk all day? I did an interview earlier.
Did you?
And we'll be here all night. Y'all, please give me 100 likes since we've been here working. Please, 100 likes. Come on, that's easy. 11 more to go.
Let's get the likes up for sure.
Yes, thank you. Perry Unlikely. Yes, Miss AK. I need to just lay down. I think I got the Sudafed on deck. I need to get to bed. But I'm enjoying myself here. Everybody in the chat, shout out to y'all. The chat has been, so I've got to go back and read it. But my nose is like, I'm getting a sinus headache and all that. So work is coming in the morning. I don't get a day off. So Perry Unlikely, would you do the honors of just giving us your final thoughts on this whole wife thing and
yeah, absolutely,
what we should be doing? Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I've enjoyed the conversation. Really, really have enjoyed it. To me, I think a big part of it is just I would say for men, your passion. You do have to find passion. Whatever drives you, but you have to have vision, and you have to align that vision for the whole family, so that they know where you're headed. So it's important, you don't get in a car and just go somewhere and not tell people where you're going, your passengers. So I think that's really important. It's just the vision. And then I think, I think women it is supporting that vision, but I think the biggest thing is it's just that communication and making sure that everybody is on the same page. And, being a married man, one thing that's important to me because of all the things I hear out in, on YouTube and just the conversations is, there's just a lot of narratives that are unnecessary. And, it is your marriage. You can tailor the approach. So even I hear this financial talk all the time and, this and that, but, like my wife and I, we try to run a house where either of us can run the entire house off of their sole paycheck. So all these conversations about who does this and who does that, it doesn't matter. You can tailor it for what works for you. But our ultimate goal is we want to make sure that, we're able to retire. We invest, we do things like that, rental properties, but we're able to set our children up to where, we want them to be able to go to whatever college they want to, but where they know that them going out to work for someone else is their fallback. They will have a business, they'll have properties, they'll be able to. So you just tailor it how you want to, but we have to allow each other to grow together. And I just don't want that narrative out there that people can't have successful marriages. And the last thing I do want to add, because I haven't actually been on camera to say it, I do want to just pay my respects to Kevin Samuels because I do believe he started a conversation that was important. and it brought people together to talk. And as much angst as there was around it, at the end of the day, he was essentially just simply saying, look, when you go to fish, certain type of fish like certain type of bait, you can't show up with whatever you want and them accept it. They're not going to. That was, at the end of the day, I think that's what he said. But I do thank Kevin Samuels for starting a conversation that frankly needed to be had. So I just did want to make sure to say that. But I think ultimately, you know, I'm only 4 years into my marriage, but you got to choose correctly. You got to choose. You got to read the signs. It is an investment. You would not, you know, you wouldn't just go buy a house overpriced by the railroad tracks with loud noises. Don't do the same thing when it comes to your marriage or who your significant other. You got to make the right choices. That's the biggest thing I tell my single friends. The biggest impact you are going to have on your life is the person you choose to spend it with. And that will affect every single decision you make, you know, from that point forward. So that's pretty much all I've certainly enjoyed just coming up here and being able to have this discussion.
I have enjoyed you, sir. Ace Butterfly, you've been busy tonight, and I like this. We'll end on this note. Perry seems very intentional with his life, I would say, and his wife, and he has vision.
Yeah, I think it's extreme.
And you've definitely demonstrated what a principled man looks like, and what women who are seeking, you know, better half can use as one role model of what might work for them. Perry, I'm gonna let you go. I am on fumes, but so happy to have you. Thank you for being brave and coming over and discussing this topic. And I look forward to having you back in the future. Y'all give it up for Perry Unlikely. Go sub. And appreciate you being here, brother. I hope to see you again very soon. You take care.
You will. Take care.
All right. God bless you. Thank you, Perry. Thank you so much, y'all. It's been a wonderful day. Thank you to everybody who came over and watched me on Learn Biz, the podcast. Thank you to Uncle Stu and Brown Eyes. And of course, Perry Unlikely. Y'all, please check out his channel. He's more of a investing in crypto real estate type gentleman in terms of what he discusses over there. But I'm grateful that he's like an example. I want to say that he's bold enough to come out and talk about just what he's done from start to finish in terms of selection of a person to spend his whole life with. But y'all, I got to get to bed. It's been real. Love you guys. See you over on Patreon. I have to get better before I do any double shows anymore. No more double shows right now. But shout out to everyone in the chat. Appreciate you guys rocking with me. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Did we get to 100 likes? Yeah. Shout out to Nathan. Saw you come in late. Thank you, Nathan. I am on fumes. My nose is red. I'm getting, yeah, all that good stuff. So we are going to tap out tonight. Yes, I got a rapid test actually on deck. Testing now. I got a rapid test. Don't worry. But yeah, one of my free government tests. Make sure. But I know this is a head cold. The way this feels from when I got the scratchy throat Sunday. I know what time it was, but I'm going to test just to make certain. Yay, Perry Unlikely says he really enjoyed it. Thank you. Great show. 96 likes. Okay, I'll take it. I'm tired. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thursday is up next. Thursday is Mr. Harrison Family Values. Are your dating standards keeping you single? Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Saturday, Red Pill Awareness. I think we're down to 2 topics. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, loved seeing everybody. Thank you, speakers. Appreciate you. I'm going to get some rest. I thank you so much for being here and being a part of tonight's show. Hope you guys found it helpful. If you like this content, please go ahead and subscribe. Many of you watch, but you're not subscribed just as yet. So go ahead and subscribe. And to all my subscribers, we're going up from here. Thank you. Appreciate you. I see you, Andre. I see you, Nathan. I see you, XCMC. Thank you for coming through as well. Thank you for coming on up. All right. Thanks, Uncle Stu. On that note, got to go. Have a great night, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Bye now.